Hello and welcome back to Full Warning, a Team Serious podcast. Today we welcome guests Pat Vincent and Max Gibson. So we're going to get into it real quick. Pat, tell us who you are and why you're here.
I'm an Austin, Texas vintage player, and I'm here because I won the main event, I assume. Is that why I'm here?
Yeah, and you're an all-around cool guy. Yeah, you're right here representing Texas. We're doing a Land 4 wrap-up. Basically, yeah, Pat took the whole thing down. We'll get to that later. I want to dig in with you, Pat, a little bit to give the folks an understanding of who you are. And, you're a vintage player, but what was your magical journey? Where are you coming from? And how did you get here?
Well, I started playing Magic up in Fairbanks, Alaska, where I was born during the Ice Age set.
Ooh, appropriate.
Appropriate.
The first set that was really available to me up in Alaska, which was pretty exciting. And then, they followed it up with some other good ones like Alliances and then, Homelands and Fallen Empires.
Did you feel a special kinship with Ice Age being in Alaska? Is Fairbanks very snowy?
Yeah, Fairbanks is like a frigid wasteland. It's like the Tundra Magic card. It's right there in the middle of the tundra. And it exists because it's a point of military interest at this point. So there's a military base there, and then there's an Air Force base kind of outside of it. It's there to guard the pipeline, make sure that the Russians don't blow up our pipeline up there. It's really important. And also
military.
I think there's interceptor missiles in the area where I grew up.
Right. So if you're in Fairbanks area, you're related to the military or working for some industry or that's related to supporting the military probably in that.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Or secondarily feeding, clothing, housing, etc. Right.
Right. Schooling. So that's when I started playing. We were able to get some revised up there. The majority of actual good cards came in from people who were in the military.
Yes. They
would go up and do their training. I don't know what exactly type of training, or they'd be deployed there, I guess is probably what was actually going on. And there was no one to play with, so they would come and sell their cards to the magic shop. Or it was a comic shop called The Comic Shop because there was only one. So you didn't need to be really creative with names or anything like that. And they would sell their single magic cards there. And so that's how you were able to get the older sets like Legends and
right.
And Beta and all of that. So
they wanted some spending money for the town bar or whatever.
Right. They're like, why did I cart these all the way up here?
Right.
There's no community to play with. So that was originally how I got into the game. The first tournament I played at was kind of funny to talk about. It was at the University of Alaska Fairbanks tournament, and it was a circle magic tournament. I think there were like 22 players or 20-ish players, and we were all in a circle, and you could only attack to the left or right. I can't even remember now.
Nice.
I played those. That was popular back in the day.
I came with a Goblins deck, which is not really that wise of a choice when, you can... Wrath effects were global, so... as you can imagine, I was out of cards pretty quick. And
wow.
The guy who won the Circle Magic, I remember the tournament winner because I stuck around to the very end, even though I was one of the first people that got knocked out. And it was a guy that played Inferno, and everybody had Sarah Angels and actual cards that matter besides like 1/1 dudes.
Right.
Then he played, what is that called? Martyrs. Blood of the Martyr. That's what that card is called. Where you redirect all of the damage back to yourself. Then he reverse damaged it.
Oh my god.
At that point, nobody could touch him. I'm pretty sure people just started conceding. And that was kind of how it ended. Yeah, it was super epic. At that point, I was hooked. Looked at my Goblin deck and was like, I can do better than this. I don't think I ever played a Circle Magic tournament ever again. And
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. So how did you get to Texas and with the Romancing the Stones then?
So I went to Texas for graduate school. I went to UT here in Austin, school psychology program. Shout out to those guys, the educational psych department.
Nice. Good
program. And then I started playing at Pat's Games, which is the premier venue in Austin area, complete with, Pat's, the actual building is castle-esque. It's
okay, nice.
In the form of a castle, and there's a moat that used to have koi fish in it, but the koi fish have died probably like on 5 separate occasions. There have been like mass koi fish deaths. And now they don't have koi fish there, but they have lotuses in the moat now, so that's cool.
Nice, yeah.
So I was playing, at that point, legacy tournaments, their weekly Thursday legacy tournaments, and that's where I met Stu at the tournament there one day, and he was one of the most well-adjusted people there. I noticed that immediately. Kind of because of that, I was like, this guy seems cool. He also is fairly competitive guy, which is like, I was kind of, a lot of the people there, they're like, they are playing their cool pet decks, which I like, all of that. But then when you wanted to engage them about some conversation about Magic cards, a strategy that wasn't about their pet deck, it's like they don't even want to engage in kind of conversation about the hypotheticals or anything. They want to talk about their pet deck to you. So needless to say, I became friends with Stu. Randomly, we both had kids at kind of the same time, and then the pandemic hit, and regardless of what Stu actually wanted, we became close friends. So
I love that.
Yeah, so we were hanging out all the time during the pandemic, and I think right before the pandemic was kind of when all of us started, like the Romancing the Stones formed. We ran kind of a short series of 100% proxy vintage tournaments. It was going to be a tournament series originally, and then it became our group name.
When you say hanging out during the pandemic, were you guys like hanging out online?
We were potted so that our daughters could play together.
Oh,
got it.
Even better.
You were in a bubble in the same social bubble. It's great, man. Yeah, and I we talked to Stu in the last episode we released. We got a lot of insight into where he was coming from and kind of his role in Romancing the Stones. With that, I'll ask you before we switch over to Max, what would you say kind of your role in Romancing the Stones, or what would you, if others were to say Pat's the blank guy, what are you?
At the beginning of Romancing the Stones, when we were talking about who was going to do what and all of that, Hockey was going to kind of do the website and stuff like that, and then potentially I was going to be working on streaming our matches. Needless to say, I never actually really did that. So
I know Rob does a lot of that stuff for you guys right now.
Right, yeah. So, I would say at this point, I'm a guy that tries to contribute things in the way that, I'm like, we should play Old Frame. And then everybody's like, no, we don't want to play Old Frame. And then I'm like, what if we ran a CDH tournament in order to get new blood into the vintage scene? And they're like, no, we shouldn't do that. So I'm like, the guy that contributes the ideas that end up not getting accepted, but that's okay.
The idea.
I also I wanted to call our kind of invitational event the Juzam's Final Challenge, and basically got mocked for that idea. So I continue to submit ideas and continue to get mocked, and that's okay.
Someday, Pat. No, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, I wasn't putting you on the spot there, but I think again, everyone has their own place, and you need all kinds in the group. So I'm sure everyone does appreciate those contributions, even if they're not picking them up.
It's gonna happen.
All right, thanks, Pat.
Someday. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them's gonna stick, and then I'll be a legend. But
well, you are already a legend in my mind.
Clout. You got the Mock Sapphire, so
you got the Sapphire.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about that.
Let's introduce your illustrious opponent. We have the other finalist here with us, Mr. Max Gibson. I will ask you the same question, Max. Who are you and what are you doing here?
Hey guys, my name is Max Gibson, and I'm here because I'm friends with Raj, going way back in the day, and also fellow vintage player from the Cleveland area in Ohio.
I'll follow that up by saying not just, fellow vintage player. I'll follow that up by saying Max, if he takes credit for it or not, actually got me into vintage.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I want to dig into this a little bit because you were going to the Team Serious Opens before I was.
Yeah, I was going to see what exactly you remembered from this,
Okay.
But I recall that I went up to one by myself up in Sandusky. And I think Nam was there. I think Brassman was there. Angelo, you probably were there.
No, I definitely wasn't.
I don't know. I don't know who else was there at the time.
Would have been everyone... Nat, probably. Nat probably would have been there.
Nat, yeah.
Jeff probably was there.
And I'm like, oh, these guys are all real cool and chill. And I found the tournament on the Managering. And then so at that point, and I was like, oh, well, it's only like an hour from me. So I drove out there, had a good time. And then at that point, I think maybe I talked to you at Christmas or something. I don't know, it must have been somewhere. And I'm like, hey, we should, there's another tournament coming up. We should go up there. And then, from then on, I think you went up with me to Sandusky, and then the rest is history.
So I want to go back a little before that to it was the first vintage match I ever played. And it was at a store. I don't even remember what the store was. It was somewhere. You were maybe in school.
Okay.
And you had Standstill, vintage Standstill. And you also had, I want to say Delver. Would maybe Delver? But these were real cards. You had real cards. It was like 2 real cards decks. But so you had the power split up, whatever power you had. Because I remember my timeline is fuzzy of when that happened, but I want to say that was before we went to Vegas for Modern Masters 2015. So I want to say this was in like 2012 maybe. And you were like so high on this, and you were like, dude, this is vintage. And you're like, sat down and you're like playing Standstill. And I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like my first. So I think of that as what I remember as my first vintage match. So I thought you were playing vintage with the Team Serious Opens for a while before that, but I guess not. So yeah,
I don't think so.
So Max had gone to one event. He thought they were cool guys. He didn't go out to dinner. That was the whole thing. Is like then we went to another one, but we didn't go out to dinner. You and I went out to dinner after. We didn't go out to dinner with everybody else. Like that's basically, then I went to the next one without Max, I think. And that's when I went out to dinner with them. And then that was the rest was history probably after that. I have to go back and remember exactly how that went. But so Max is here. Max also, we go way back. Like I said, our grandmothers were best friends. I did not live in Ohio, but anytime we were visiting in Ohio, like our families generally got together. And I want to say, before I let you off the hook here, Max, I'll just have you talk about your entrance into Magic real quick, if you would. Talk a little bit about when you actually started playing.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't really play Magic together until we were almost adults, basically. So I started playing in the Warren Youngstown area first, very casually in the Tempest block.
Okay.
All right, that's when I remember buying packs and that sort of thing. And we just played for fun at the table, kitchen table, or at school every now and then. Fast forward maybe a couple years after that, and whenever the first Mirrodin block came out, that's the time where I started, all right, let's go to tournaments.
Okay.
At that point is whenever we really started getting into it. Let's buy singles and crack packs. And we ended up having a lot of cards from that era. And I was telling Jared that how I ended up getting a lot of the stuff in my collection was because back then we really opened up a lot of product from that era. And it just so happened that over the next 10 or 15 years, those cards, uncommons, started to become pretty valuable. And so one of my good buddies, who I kind of still I give him like half the credit of my collection. We thought we need to get into these older cards because we really like playing them and we think this is great, but also these things are not going to lose value over time. And so we started playing and going to tournaments, and any credit we would get or any singles we would get, we would just trade into older cards and trade into older cards. That's how we kind of ended up being able to play paper vintage as I have today. Obviously, it's so difficult for someone to get into just off the cuff nowadays. Right. So we started playing there in Warren at All American Cards and Comics. Shout out to Greg if he ever hears this. And then from there, I was playing when I was at college at Walsh University in Canton, Ohio. And we had, at the time, very good legacy scene there.
Okay.
I remember we would go 2 or 3 nights a week and have 20 or 30 person legacy tournaments.
You're a Storm Master, if I'll put that out there, yeah.
Yeah. I would always be mostly playing Storm. I played a little, dabbled in everything, but Lansdale, Delver, and everything like that. But what I remember vividly almost always doing is we would go to this other shop up in Berea called Kid Force. It's still open.
Yeah.
And at the time, they would have a legacy tournament, and I would play in the tournament, and if I got top 4, whatever, you'd get $40 or $60 in credit, and then I would go and I would trade some of my random Sensei's Divining Tops or Ether Vials that we had collected. We would have 20
hundreds of the
from just back in the day, and then I would trade those, and with my store credit, almost every time I would walk away with a couple dual lands.
Nice.
And so that's like how I kind of slowly
and
built
you have all
into my
40
collection.
dual lands now, or just all the blue ones?
No, we got all 40.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. And then I would do the same thing with Power later. Then I would kind of go through the collection and see what we had, and I would just go around to I think while we were at Vegas, I think that's when I got my Ancestral or
Jet. I thought was what you got there. Yeah, it was $500.
So, yeah,
I remember that. I feel like I remember that correctly. Like you walked around, you went a lap around the room, and then you came back and was like, "I got this," and I was like, "What is it?" And you're like, "It's a Mox Jet." I'm like, "What does it do?" And I read it, and I was like, "It's $500." You're like,
"Taps from Black, dude."
And you're like, "It's Taps from Black." Yeah. Like, all right, cool. Like, I didn't get it at that time. I totally was like, I didn't understand.
And I would just go and get the cheapest piece of Power that I have, and that's what I still have today. And now we can play it and not care if it gets too messed up. So we're all good.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for that intro and that background, man. That's great. Angelo, did you have any? I've been dominating the interview here. I know you're intently soaking this all in. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I just had a couple observations.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that like Pat, going back to Pat saying that like him and Stu started hanging out a lot during the pandemic, and the reason I asked if you guys hung out virtually is because that's like how I met Raja.
Yes.
Like we were just bored in front of our computers a lot, so we played a lot of Magic.
Oh yeah.
When all that was going down, and then started hanging out in real life. And then I just think it's funny that Max is like, "Oh, you were probably at that Team Serious thing," because everybody thinks I've been involved with this Team Serious stuff from the beginning, and I'm probably the newest dude, or one of the newer people.
Yeah.
So I haven't been around that long, just a couple of years, post pandemic.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's real, recognize real, and as we grow and evolve, like that's what's great about the event, the TSIs, especially the one that I host. So let's jump in a little bit, if we can now, to day 0. So Max, if you weren't aware, there was a middle school event the day before on Thursday night up at Lakewood Bottle House. Angelo was the illustrious organizer. You set this event up last year to have a place for everyone who was coming into town to kind of center on, basically.
Yeah.
There was a great initiative by you to do that, and you had a lot of locals who came last year.
I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, the Land 2 was happening, and I didn't know what was going on. And Jake was all a Twitter because there was a bunch of people in town, and they were all trying to figure out where to go. And he's like, "Come play Magic with these dudes. It's going to be fun. And bring your middle school deck." And, this is like, he was some dumb format he was trying to get me into. And I remember going to like 2 or 3 different places, and every time I got somewhere, like, "Oh, we went here instead," because, so they were running all over town trying to meet up. So one of the ideas when you were bringing it back was to try to get something the night before just to get everybody together, welcome our friends from Texas. And we did a middle school tournament last year. And the problem we ran up against, we had some really great players show up that weren't part of the LAN thing. And they wanted to play,
right.
So like Mike Clements and Roger, they went 4-0 in that thing.
Right.
And like at the end, we had 4-4-0 guys. And we ran out of time.
I think Kyle and Bernie were there too at the Bottle House last year. I think they showed up.
It's possible, yeah. Kyle was, I think. But anyways, so this year I was like, all right, we got to get like actual tournament results. So how does everybody feel about cutting to a top 8? And most people were like, all right, cool, yeah, we'll do that. And the Superscript was down to host afterwards.
100%.
Shout out to them, yeah. So the first problem was not as many people showed up. Okay. I think we did a poor job of building the local hype.
Okay.
Like to get people to
that was like
a
good 10 heads that were there from just the local shop, right? Last time, yeah, we reached like 28 players or 30 players. And then we had the Madmen, the Three River Wizards Madmen driving in.
Yeah, they rolled out.
And driving out in one night, yeah. Last year they drove out, Pat, last year Thursday night, hung out, drove home, then came back out after work on Friday.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. Nice. They did not do that this year.
Yeah, that sounds like
this year
a slog.
Yeah.
Well, this year was a slog too. It was a little sweatier than I wanted it to be. And like I just remember going over to top 8 at the store, and it's like me and a bunch of dudes from Texas.
All the Texas dudes. And again, in part because like everyone.
Oh, Chad was there.
Well, yeah, Chad was there because he couldn't be there on the weekend. But everyone who's coming in the weekend, we're like, we're just gonna rest. Like we don't want to play Magic. Like we're gonna hang out and chill on Thursday and not play Magic.
I remember Tweety, like in his first round game, was like, "What are we doing? Like, what are we doing right now? I want to go to bed."
So maybe we just have Thursday night as a movie night next year.
Well, what I think we're gonna do, because I was talking to Stu about it, he's like, I really wish we could play a little more vintage too.
Oh,
so I think I want to just have open league play on that Thursday.
Okay.
And have people track their matches, and you can play vintage or middle school. Just give out dumb prizes for the most points, the most matches played, most matches won, stuff like that. Okay. And so people who are in town can pass through and then go eat somewhere or hang out till the bar
open
closes,
gaming.
like whatever you want to do.
More like the Tuesday night get-togethers.
The EDH night.
Yeah, like CEDH night. Yeah, basically.
We'll have
CEDH,
frame, 7-point singleton. It'll be fun. But no, just put some skin in the game to give people a reason to mingle too, like the league part. So you make some friends, and maybe we get some more locals involved, because that's how we got Mike Clements into this thing this year.
Yeah,
was he showed up to that thing last year, spiked it, and was like, "Where do I play Magic with people like you guys?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, come hang out.
You found us, baby.
He's great, yeah." I think that's a good event. And it's local for me. I mean, it's my backyard, so it gets. Lets me wet the whistle, get ready for the weekend.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely liked the Thursday night event. That really got me going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Well, didn't you take it down last year?
Technically, yeah, I was gonna say you won.
Yeah, I
Thursday
technically
last
won.
Year.
Yeah, last year. This year was a lot of Texans there, but I still thought it was really fun. I like that venue. Don't necessarily like that they take your card at that venue, because of course I forgot my card there.
You forgot your card there, yeah.
Shameful thing.
Pat, so speaking of that, so you're coming into Ohio. Is it a straight shot, Austin to Cleveland? Is that a straight flight?
No, I did a layover in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
the world's
the year before we had all of this hype, and Tweety bought all of us tickets together. So everybody except for Tweety, because he ended up getting COVID.
Right.
We all flew together, and it was really fun. And then this time it was get in when you can. Everybody was showing up at random times, and we weren't all as a group. But when we all got to the Bottle House, that was when it started feeling like, all right, we're here to play some Magic. So
nice.
Yeah, I like the Bottle House event.
I like it a lot. Those sours, I like the sours there. I always start off with a sour, whatever they got. The grub. Who does the food in there, Angelo?
Eugene,
yeah.
love me some Eugene.
It's good. I don't remember what I got, but it was scrumptious. Pat or Stu bought me food. I can't remember. One bought me a beer, one bought me food. Thank you guys. So who cares who won, I guess? Who won, Angela? Are you going to make a report about this event?
You know what? As we were talking about it, I was like, I should do that. I think, Patrick, did you win?
No, it was hockey. Hockey.
Oh, gosh.
Hockey took it down at Superscript.
But hockey beat you to win, right? Because you beat me.
Oh, you were in the semis, Angelo, and Pat took you out?
Yeah, Pat took me out. He got his revenge.
All right.
And then it was hockey and me in the finals, and
he was on Armageddon, right?
Yeah, he was on Green White Armageddon, and it was a sinking feeling in that I just, with Weathered Wayfarer in it, to block you off of non-basics.
You have to keep playing lands as a standstill player, right? Like you have to keep
you just have to try to get something so that you can actually interact. Needless to say, I kept two land hands, and then just got Weathered Wayfared out of the game by Wastelands. Okay. It was a total blowout, basically. It took no time, which was kind of good because everybody was really tired at that point.
No, we were ready to go.
I got my sweet chain of vapor, so I was feeling pretty pumped about that. I got my mountain goat. Yeah, at that point, the juices were flowing. I was thinking about, am I going to do standstill because I brought goblins and standstill to the tournament? I think I need to play standstill, but then change these cards so that I can interact with this deck that I did not play against in the actual rules.
What deck did you prepare for?
Too. Yeah, so I was preparing for Green White Terrageddon.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was
did not face it.
Yeah, did not face it, and who knows if it was even in the tournament.
There you go. There was a few. So I did make my way up there and play. I played my Taking Turns deck. I made some adjustments. The main change I had made is Nightscape Familiar.
Yeah, that threw me off.
Yeah, Angelo paired us together first round. He Armageddon me when I had 2 lands, but that still just destroyed me. Couldn't come back from it. So anyway, it was fun though. I think it was 500. Maybe I was not. I don't remember. No, I was not. I only beat Caffrey. I've played him every time I've actually played that deck in an event. I've had to play Caffrey, and he's been one of my only wins. So shout out to Eric Caffrey.
Epic games, though.
Yeah, it's a really fun deck, and just again, if you're not familiar with it, the middle school card pool allows you to play Time Warp. Yes, it also allows you to play Temporal Manipulation, which is from Portal, and it also allows you to play Capture of Jingzhou, which is from Portal 3K. So you have 12 total time warps, and then you could play, if you were a madman, you could play Time Stretch, but I go on the other side. I play Exhaustion, which is like a pseudo time walk. So we're just doing time walks, and then we play Palancron and do some more time walks, and Time Spiral and do some more time walks, and then kill them. So it sometimes works. It's fun. All right, let's move on to day 1. So this is Friday. I'm loading up. I load up everything. I get out to the land. It's maybe, 12 o'clock or something. I roll up there, and there is a trailer already parked in the driveway. And I'm like, who is this? And of course, it's the Three Rivers Wizards. JC, the coffee master, Twan, and evil mailman Bob are already there, BSing with my uncle. My uncle's eyeballing the trailer that JC has. It's like an elevated trailer, it's like an off-road trailer to take your 4-wheeler out into the bush. So these guys are already there. The first ones to arrive, and if we, spoiler, they were the last ones to leave. Like, these guys are awesome friends. They are a really cool crew, and they have the right idea. So the Pittsburgh guys are already there, and of course, ready to help, and they're helping me set up. And then Angelo came soon after that. When did you arrive, Angelo?
2:30.
Yeah, so you were there pretty soon after
3 o'clock.
Yeah, you were one of the next folks.
I felt like there was a good amount of people there when I got there.
I think Texas was already there. They had pulled up right before you got there, I think.
Yeah.
Max, when did you arrive on Friday?
So I got up there around 5, and it was kind of a fortuitous circumstance that I could even make it, because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it there. Behind the curtain here, behind the scenes, in real life, I'm an attorney, and I had an appointment out in Toledo.
Oh, man.
In the afternoon. Typically, whenever I go out there, I'm not going back into the office.
Right.
So I was out in Toledo by about 11, and then I did my thing, and then I just rolled straight over to you.
Nice.
And aside from a couple of stoppages to get gas and to pick up some charcoal, and I was already pre-packed because I knew that the night before that I was ready to go.
Right.
So I quickly slapped together my old school deck because I didn't have one on Thursday night, and the rest of the vintage deck, and then I hauled it, from Toledo all the way across Route 80 across Ohio to your place.
Well, you say old school, but you mean to say middle school, I believe.
Middle school,
but you make that mistake because it was your first time playing the format, yes?
That's correct. Yeah, that was my very first middle school format.
But as you mentioned, you started basically in right in the pocket at the end of the era of middle school.
Exactly. So those were the cards whenever I was first starting that we couldn't really get all the time.
Okay.
We wanted to have a cool Psychotog deck, or we wanted to have these cool decks, but we didn't have the cards to get those, but we were playing the standard at the time.
Okay.
But it wasn't like that standard where right before that where it had Scourge and where the Mirari's Wake decks and that sort of thing.
Right. But those were the decks you were reading about in the forums, and you're like, man, those are cool. I want to play those cards.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the deck you chose to play. What were the cards you put in it, and how did you figure out what was good? Did you look at anything? Did you do any research?
Yeah. So I did a little bit during the week. I was taking a look, and I was like, all right, well, what cards are legal in middle school? And let's go from there.
Okay.
And so
always a good start.
I'm like, all right. So I then went to the Eternal Central, and I found some of the old middle school coverage there, and I was looking at those decks, and I was like, well, some of those things might be interesting. Let me take a look at some of the, and it was I had to then differentiate, be able to differentiate myself between middle school and pre-modern.
Okay, yes, because you found some of the pre-modern coverage.
So I then found pre-modern decks.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what brought me towards the Dryads.
Okay.
And so there was some pre-modern decks playing that. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking interesting, man. I wanted to play those. Those have been sitting in my binder for 10 or 15 years. So I decided, so let's roll with the Dryads. I particularly like the little interactions of the deck. That's kind of a little pet of mine. I like to have these little funny things. So, for example, being able to peek at someone's hand and then meddling mage their cards. That's hilarious to me.
Right.
I like doing some things like that. And that turned out to be oddly effective during the tournament.
So I'm looking at the standings, actually. Max, you were 4th, right above Pat. Pat, you were in 5th. So when did you guys play?
We played in the last round, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Pat was on standstill.
Was it a drag out banger?
It was an epic battle. It truly was.
Yeah, the first game, he winter orbed, and I was not expecting a main deck winter orb. I didn't prioritize any sort of seal of cleansing hand or anything I think no mystical tutor in my opener or anything like that. And yeah, he just resolved that after I did something.
Fact or fiction?
No, it was he just slammed it. I think he was on the play, and then turn 2 he just slammed it. And I'm like, well, I have 1 mana and no force of will, so I guess this is happening or something like that. Or no, I tapped out to do something. Maybe I brazenly impulsed at the wrong time or something. It was late, And then next thing I know, I've got the lock on me that prevents me from actually doing anything in my deck even more so than what it normally does, which doesn't do things for turns and turns. Yeah, so I lost that one slowly, and it was really painful. And then I think I took game 2. The games that I lost were just complete rollovers that involved Winter Orb. So the secret's out at this point. Winter Orb's pretty good against Standstill. It does not like that card.
Max Winter Orbed you out of existence, basically. So he was a 5-1. When we played middle school out of Swiss +1, I was not going to try to do a cut for this Friday night event. So we had 4 5-1 decks with Stu taking it down, which was awesome.
So hold up. So Stu won on tiebreakers?
He won on tiebreakers with Sly, which is the deck that he's completely altered, and it's...
Yeah, that's why I was super happy for it.
I think that's the first time. Got the misprint scrolls in there and all of that. It's just the middle schooler's dream, that deck. I was proud of him.
What was Tim Everett playing?
He played Boros aggro. I remember looking at his deck because he was just leaving it publicly and thinking, this looks like total trash. He had like Goblin Kits in it, and then he had a 2 of this thing that's like a Flowstone something or other, that a Flowstone Charger that is 2/5 when it is untapped and 5/2 when it's attacking.
Okay.
It just seemed really terrible to me, but he also had Curse Scroll in it and, disenchants access in the board. And apparently they're ready for the long haul slog against, Standstill or some other control deck. They're not ready to play the fast game, at least in this
smash your face deck. I'm saying it looks like he beat both you and Max on this path.
Yeah, my only loss was to Tim, and it wasn't particularly close. Like, he pretty much, there was some combination of like some bad draws on my end, but he just pretty much just crushed me.
Yeah.
Did you get hit with a Flowstone Charger?
I didn't. No, I didn't know that card was in his deck.
Yeah, I think that card swiftly went out of his deck every time that he sideboarded.
I have to chase Tim down for his deck list. He's one of the deck lists I'm missing from middle school, actually. He's the only deck in the top 8 I'm missing, and I'm missing Bob Agger. Oh, Bob sent me his. Bob was number 8. He sent me it. I just haven't entered it. He was on Squirrelcraft. The other decks in the top 8, besides Stu with his Orcish Librarian deck, we had Lorien, Master of Middle School, playing
Orcish Librarian deck.
Yeah, there's one in the deck, but that's why I call it the Orcish Librarian deck.
Right.
I think
been
that's what we should call
so
it.
So that it has all of his favorite books on it. I'm not even kidding.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's like a stack of 5 of Stu's favorite books.
Encyclopedia Brown.
Are they all Star Wars novels?
They're graphic novels.
It's like heavy stuff.
Lorien was on the Hermit Druid, the Naughty Druid combo with Suzerain Ghoul, Phyrexian Dreadnought. He called it Naughty Net Deck. Naughty Net Deck. Then we had Max on the awesome Psychotog Grow list. Then we had Mr. Pat on Standstill. Then we had Hockey with the Armageddon deck. And then Bob representing Spiritmonger.
Hockey was on the Lurrus deck, I think, this time.
Oh, no, he was on Lurrus. He was on
Lurrus. Because he asked you when you were doing something, and you said...
Yeah. That's fine. We don't need to go into all that. And then Bob got 7th, and that's wild because we faced off in the very last round, and I lost to him. So that meant I was in the hunt, kind of, for top 8 if I had defeated him to go 4-2. That's wild. My deck just did not agree with me. I'm putting it up. It's the Black, Green, and Tomb deck. It's a great deck. I need to get a better relationship with it. We need to go out to dinner more and just have a nicer synergy. It's not, I don't know if it's mad at me or what, but it never gives me the lands on time. There's so many swamps, there's so many green sources, and I just always draw the cards in the wrong combination, or I'm stuck on 2 lands. I need the 3rd land to do something, and then my opponent gets loose before I have some threats. It's really frustrating. So I'm going to take a break from that, probably go back to playing Dragon or Standstill, or maybe Stasis, or I don't know.
All these other decks you know how to play.
Something equally fun for my opponent to play. But all right, so that's middle school event. So Max, this is not your first time playing out at the land, but this is your first time playing middle school. So I guess I would say give us your overall take on the format, having, making the top 8 for the first time, playing it. Would you play middle school again? Was it interesting?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, to get back to what I kind of liked is the little interactions in these types of decks that you don't get to see very often. And specifically in the list that I was playing, just as I was learning it, because I was just learning it as I was going, was that not only do we have these little tiny synergies that you don't typically get to see because they don't make the cards like this anymore, right? Everything is designed a lot different. But to have this deck, which is basically Gush is like such an insane card.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh yeah, Gush is a good card. in this deck specifically, you learn Gush is like a real card, and it will really function in a lot of different ways in your deck. Not only does it you get to draw 2 cards, well, that's pretty good. You don't typically have to pay any mana for it. That's also good. And then also under a Winter Orb, you only need 2 lands to play the deck. So you always have your 1 lane that you untap for Winter Orb, and then you can typically gush a lane or 2 back, and then you always have a land drop to play.
Right.
I think I played 1 or 2 matches against land tax, and you just gush your lands back, and then they don't get to activate their land tax.
Right.
I played 1 foil in my deck, and just having that around when Gush is around is pretty nice because you have an island in your hand and you get to pitch that.
Right.
So there's just a lot of these little random interactions that were pretty cool, and I enjoyed doing that because you don't typically get to play that type of deck anymore.
My favorite thing about the format is those matter a lot more than you realize. And so if you're into that stuff, that's probably why you did so well, because you're getting all this value early in the game that when you get to that mid-late game in middle school, it pays off. Yeah. And a lot of people don't play like that.
You get that snowball effect. And yeah, Max is a really good player. I enjoy watching Max play. I remember another core memory from my Magic time is I remember at a GP, Max was playing a side event with Bring to Light, 5-color Bring to Light. And it's like an 8-man single limb. So I think Max made it into the finals, and it was just so enjoyable watching him pilot the deck. He didn't win. You didn't win that one. Do you remember? Do you remember what I was talking about?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just so enjoyable to watch. Max is very calculating. So yeah, I can imagine your opponents probably had fun watching you pilot the deck too, even if they weren't winning.
I appreciate that, dude. Thanks.
What did you think about the food truck? We didn't talk about this yet. So the tournament is running. The tournament fired up around 6, a little bit before 6, but starting around 4 o'clock, we had a food truck set up, the Little Red food truck out of Champion, Ohio. I had not had this guy before, but he was recommended to me by John Burney. I thought it was pretty good.
Those guys were legit, man. They came to make food. And they did it. They were busting their asses with a smile on their face the whole time. I was impressed. Those guys were down to work. I mean, yeah. I ate 3 cheesesteaks, some fried pickle chips, some French fries. What was it? Oh, I got a gyro. It was good. My favorite thing about the truck, like they had the menu and the tip jar, all the normal stuff. But you know how most trucks have pictures of the food or the logo or something? The only thing on the outside of this truck was a picture of the cheesesteak. That's it.
Just one picture.
It might have said Little Red Food Truck somewhere on there too, but the only food they were talking about was a cheesesteak. I don't know. I think it was the best thing on the menu. It was all good though.
Okay.
It was great.
Yeah,
okay.
Euros, I hit those up, and the stuffed grape leaves, and those were good. And then I tried some macaroni bites, and I was a fan.
Yep. Yeah. Same.
There were also the fried raviolis. Those ones.
Yes.
Those were delicious. Yeah, I thought everything was really delicious. Sticks. I ate some fried pickles.
It was real solid of them too to cook all that food at the end and leave it out for us. That was great.
Yeah.
That was a great move.
As soon as the round was over, people were going to be like, where's the food truck?
Yeah.
So he's like, we're just going to do like some containers up and throw it out there. I leaned into this. I want to see what's around, see the local places. Surprisingly, a lot of these places book up really fast. So I'm going to have to try to book something in January, probably next year. I liked it, and it's just mainly for my peace of mind and not having to run around on Friday, do food. I like to do the food myself on Saturday as much as possible, and Angelo was a big help for that for breakfast. We'll get into that in a bit. I would do this one again. I really liked last year's, the Tortamo food truck. He was not available. Everything on day one ended pretty well. Forget how I ended the night. That tournament wrapped up around midnight. And then I started, what was I playing after that? I think I played the land game maybe a couple times.
Because I remember it was you and me, and we look at the clock and we're like, oh God, it's 4:30.
It was.
It was like 4 o'clock.
It was 4 o'clock, yeah. What were we doing?
We played a little bit of the land game. I think did we play some Crackin Boosties?
I don't think so. I don't think. I think we just played the land game. We're just cleaning up all the food.
Well, we were playing some Ebon Ante too.
Even Steven and some other people were playing it, right? There was a multiplayer.
Oh,
I was playing it.
We did play Ebon Ante. We played a three-man Ebon Ante game, and you and Steven both were ganging up on me in each of those games and wrongfully killing me because
sounds like there's some animosity going on here.
Yeah. I had a mono black, the rack deck. The rack targets, I have to target one of them, right? Like, if it was a global effect, I wouldn't have had this issue, but I had to target Angelo. But I then targeted Steven with the other one. They took that personally.
Right.
I wanted cards.
It was,
yeah, of course.
I mean, you would even be more of a target if you were doing it to everybody all at once. At that point, you got the target on your head.
Raj's downfall was he tried to hurt us both equally and killed neither of us. So he interprets that as us ganging up on him.
Because neither one of you would join me. I was like, all right, who's going to help me kill the other one? And they're like, no, we're just going to kill you then. Like, oh, well.
Yeah, you're like trying to play politics with a couple of drunks.
That's how multiplayer games work. I'm not a CEDH player.
Right. The trick in EDH is just to sit quietly until someone pisses another person off enough. Yeah, but as long as you're quiet, but cracking somebody, that's a display of aggression.
That's loud.
Nobody's able to tolerate that.
I do have to say, too, I was a little bummed the middle school thing went so long, and then by the time it was over, we didn't have people to draft. I wanted to draft Friday.
Oh,
it didn't happen.
Okay. Fair enough.
But it's all right. The more middle school, the better.
Yeah, for sure. No, I thought it was good. And I'll say again, shout out to the Three Rivers Wizards. They set up my tent earlier while it was still light out, and so I was able to stumble to it. They set up my tent and blew up my air mattress and put it in there. So I had a bed to sleep on at 4:30. Yeah. So that was awesome. Max heads to his car.
Yeah, first time in my life I slept in a car.
Really?
Good news. First time also in my life that I have like a SUV vehicle. So we're going all right there, really. Putting the seats down. Yeah, I did have a pillow and a blanket, and I had 2 bags of charcoal.
Nice.
So I had that in there at my disposal to sleep on.
Nice.
So it could have been better, but I did drink enough that I was able to get to sleep.
Nice. Excellent.
6 o'clock came around. Like, it went from being cold in the car at night to being super hot.
Right. The sun started to come up.
Yeah. And then at that point, I was like, okay, so yeah, luckily my parents' house is close by. I rolled over there, took a little nap for a couple hours, got a shower, and came back and felt perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, so this guy had a little cheat code.
Right, putting you at an unfair advantage compared to all of the dirty, sneaky guys in their tents.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
I definitely did.
You gotta hedge your bets, you know.
Wrap up day 1. We finally get to bed as the sun is coming up, and we are rolling into day 2. So Angelo last year had taken on the duties of breakfast. He said, I will make breakfast. Wake me up and breakfast will happen. Things were a little looser this year. I didn't get up as early as I planned because I went to bed a little later than I planned. I did review with Angela the night before the proper things we were supposed to use for breakfast. I think maybe there were some things lost in translation there on the griddle top and where to place it. So let's get into breakfast. We had a lot of bacon, right, Angela?
Full disclosure, I woke up later than I wanted to, and it was still hella early, and I needed coffee to come online. And, you know, Kai is always like, what do you need me to do, man? And so I was like, can you set up the grill? And he's like, well, how? And I was like, I don't know, figure it out. So
I see.
That's what he came up
Kai.
with.
Yeah, blame Kai, yeah.
Well, no, you got to give the man credit because he had no directions whatsoever. It was figured out. And he did a pretty good job.
I'm
but the griddle top, we put it on the coals. It never got hot enough. The breakfast just never materialized the way I imagined it would. I was able to cook a bunch of bacon and some real sloppy eggs, and the pancakes, I got like 5 of them out the door.
Okay.
But I think I need to give up on that dream of just griddle top chef making all the orders, because it's just not feasible if I want to stay up till 4 the night before.
Right. Or we just have to start cooking, not go to bed, right? We just have to start cooking bacon.
Well, what I'm going to do next year is roll up with a bunch of cooked bacon and an egg bake and have that just ready to go.
Okay.
So that I can just leave it out, and we'll just heat it up and put it out for people to eat.
Okay.
And, my wife will help me make it and everything. And maybe we can get
then how will you be able to
going on
leverage
for the real diehards?
Kai anymore,
Well, he can figure out how to heat up the egg bake. It'll be a much easier
I personally, maybe I came in and at the right moment, but I had a wonderful breakfast of a pancake with sausage that was wrapped in a pancake. I don't know. I must have gotten it at the right time.
I got the very last pieces of bacon, but when I was getting that bacon, there were people who didn't know there was any breakfast. I got that bacon. I grabbed the last croissant. Someone brought croissants, and I cut that croissant open and got that bacon on there with some eggs, and it was bomb. I understand it was probably not awesome, Angelo, the way it went down, but I enjoyed whatever portion that I received for breakfast was very good.
I think that's where the biggest failure was, is that it wasn't a bountiful cornucopia of bacon and eggs. It was
right.
Some people got it, enough people got it, which may or may not have been a hidden advantage for Patrick.
I know, it's kind of a game changer, honestly.
Extra protein.
Well, I'd be curious to know how many of the top 8 got breakfast.
Yeah, I ate that pancake sausage. It reminded me of a taco, so it was like, it reminded me of Austin. And then I was like, boom, here I am. Let's do this.
Angelo, it's your fault. It's your fault, man.
Max, what did you have for breakfast? Did mom cook you some breakfast?
No. So nobody was home at my parents' house, and I don't typically eat breakfast at all. Kind of fast during the day, so no breakfast for me. Just coffee.
Coffee.
Ready to go.
Coffee and ready to go.
But I want to go back to your breakfast. Did you guys use the gas cooktop, or did you? I heard hot charcoal there, and that didn't make a lot of sense to me.
We started with charcoal, and then we moved it over to the gas, the griddle top. Because he has like this big iron cast griddle top thing you throw.
Yeah, did somebody throw the iron griddle top on top of the charcoal grill, or how did we?
Yes.
Is there a mistake?
Again, Kai.
Oh yes, okay.
Put on some oven mitts and to bust out his muscles and just
So it was on the grill, and then Kai moved it over to the gas burner once it was re-identified that the gas burner was the correct.
It should have been there to begin with. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Kai probably deserves co-creator credit for breakfast.
Co-creator, okay. All right, cosign of Kai. Breakfast. Thank you, Kai, for the sandwich that I received. I want to talk for a second about, basically, I woke up on Saturday with one thing on my mind, and that was prepping shrimp. Because I had thawed the shrimp, and they were there. So shout out to my dad. My dad offered to help, as he is wont to do, and he offered in whatever I can do, and I said, you know what you can do, you can help me cut the steaks. So we will revisit that, but basically there's just too many steaks, though all the steak did get eaten. There's too many steaks to cut into strips. So next year, if we do steak again, just everyone's getting a steak. We're not cutting it up. You're going to get a steak, and you're going to eat it, and you're going to be happy about it.
Love it.
Or should we be in the market for like a Facebook Marketplace meat slicer, or
perhaps
something like that?
Buy a half of a cow.
Uncle Dennis likes his gadgets. This I know to be true.
That's true. Okay.
Do a pig roast.
Pig roast. That's yes. Okay. But the point being is that we're not going to cut up that many steaks again, and we're also not going to skewer that many shrimps again. Shout out to my shrimp crew, Dwayne.
Yeah, that shrimp
Alan,
crew was busy all
Mike,
day.
Tim. If I'm leaving you out, I'm sorry. Kyle, Ben Revel, all the shrimp homies. Shrimp tastes better when you skewer it yourself, but not when you skin 1,000 shrimp. Was there 1,000 shrimp? It had to be at least 1,000 shrimp. There's too many shrimps. My point being is that's what I woke up with on my mind. I wasn't thinking about vintage, wasn't thinking about anything else except making sure that the shrimp got skewered. And I woke up so late that based on my actual schedule, lunch was supposed to be getting put out like an hour and 15 minutes or something after I woke up. So Angelo's finishing the breakfast, and I'm like, all right, it's time to get the lunch stuff out now. So I wasn't too concerned that people said they didn't get breakfast because the lunch stuff was going to get put out like soon after that. Lunch. We had some awesome prep of the fruit and the lunch vegetables. We had avocados. Lorien and Andy helped me. I don't know who else was helping cut. So thanks for the help out with the lunch prep. Something I didn't remember to write down from last year, and I remembered after it happened again, which was I need to buy more non-ham cold cuts. Like there was no turkey left. That was immediately gone. The only thing left was ham and salami and pepperoni, like all the pork cold cuts basically. So I need to buy double or triple turkey and some maybe different styles of turkey and less ham and salami and that kind of stuff. Here it's Italian. I think people want to eat Italian subs, right? But that wasn't the case.
I mean, that's the way I went, but just because the bag was open and it's a free form at that point. I'm like, should I stick my hand in and like tear off a chunk of this, or should I just get 4 or 5 of these and then put those on? It's like, this is easy. Get the thing that just shreds on its own.
Yeah, there was forks and spoons and knives at the beginning of that table in those, and I was surprised because I got my sandwich much later than everyone else. I was surprised that no one had added those serving utensils to the bags at that point. But I it is what it is.
I think most people understood not to stick their hands in the bag. That's a Patrick thing.
I don't know. It looked pretty torn up, that ham.
It's called shaved. It's like that's how it's cut from the slicer. So anyway, I just ate avocado sandwiches. Those were the build that was the best. The win.
I just self-snitched on myself. Yeah.
It's okay. We've all done it.
Yeah. Max, did you get a sandwich? Was the lunch stuff out when you got there?
Yeah, I got like kind of a lettuce wrap.
Okay.
It was avocado and whatever the cold cuts and the hot peppers.
Yes.
It was good.
Yes.
I will say, to the point of the steaks, so I was thinking whenever we were cooking these and eating them.
Oh yeah, they were good.
Have you ever heard the story of the Earl of Sandwich? He's got his sandwich in one hand and he's got his cards in the other.
Yes.
And I was thinking, this is actually a perfect food for this type of event, because I, for one, and I saw many other people partake the same way, they walked by the buffet line and just grabbed a stick and just ate that out of one hand and then continued on their way.
Right.
And it was almost like you were holding the kebab in one hand and you had your cards in the other hand and you're ready to go.
Right. So
very convenient.
It did encourage you to keep socializing on the go food. It invoked the Earl of Sandwich by having that on a stick.
Whereas if you would have went with just a bunch of steaks,
right,
we could have done that. But that requires everyone to have a plate and everyone to have a knife and a fork.
Right.
I thought that was a perfect food to have for that event because we could just roll by, take something.
Okay.
You don't even need a plate.
I like that feedback. I like that feedback.
So
medieval times.
Yeah, I would take that under advisement.
Okay. Also, because, it's like a less messy way, and it was delicious too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my dad, like I said, I made up the marinades and stuff. He did all the cutting for us, and then was doing the grilling. Jake Hilty, Max started out on the grill, but it was winning, so we'll get into that in a bit. But Jake Hilty was on the grill with my dad, and Jerry Yang was there doing the grilling. Alan Finney. So we had a ton of people helping out doing the grilling, and that was awesome. But again, I like the feedback, Max and Pat, on the stick-based food being easier. So the lunch is wrapping up. Everyone who's a day tripper is kind of showing up. Rob Wilson arrives, Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy fame. He is coming with his stream set up, and he's setting up the stream. He's getting all set up. Everyone starts to arrive, and we're waiting for just the last few folks to arrive at this point for Vintage. Angelo says to me, hey, are we going to have a player meeting? So yeah, we're going to have a player meeting. He says, should I start pouring the drinks? And I said, yes, start pouring the drinks. And so at this point, Angelo busts out the samples.
1,000%.
So we'll pause here. In post-production, we're going to put in the sample right here. Ready?
Yangtime.
Okay. And so that was the sample that got played over the loudspeaker. And I made Angelo hit it like a few times. Okay, hit it one more time.
Yangtime.
All right. So
Yangtime.
it's funny because we were not actually playing it. I made that pause sound.
Team Serious.
So we all gather at the bar outside, and Angelo has the Yangtimes are poured. We start to play our meeting. I say my sappy speech. Max, you're there. Pat, you're there. Angelo, you're there. We'll start with you, Angelo. What are you thinking? We're about to start Vintage. Are you excited? Talk to us real quick about your deck before we'll jump in with Max and Pat.
Basing stuff off last year, I found myself in a situation last year where I was in the hunt. I just forgot how my deck worked, probably because of overconsumption.
It's alcohol, yeah.
I made some pretty ham-fisted plays in like rounds 4, 5, and 6, which were just bad. So I wanted to go with something a little simpler to play this year, but I also wanted to like take it easy and like try to win some matches. So I went with Bazaar, Vengevine, Hollow Boy, what the Root Wallow version of that deck. So it's just like, do you have Bazaar? Yes or no? Like there's a flow chart to like the opening hands and stuff. And that played pretty well. And it went okay. Like I think I was 2-1 at one point. Maybe I was 3-1 at one point. I think I only won 2 matches. But I was close. The ones I lost, I felt close about. But yeah, it didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Okay.
I had a nice deck proxied up from Tom that was real nice looking, gold bordered deck. So I was stunting. It just didn't go my way.
Did you get to play on stream at all?
Oh no,
we didn't get you on the stream.
There were some interesting matches, but I would not have been one of them.
I tried to put I tried to rotate everyone around and get everyone on the camera at least a little bit.
I think everyone on cam deserved it more than me, for sure.
Okay, so we're there at the bar. Max, did you partake in the Yangtime?
Oh, of course. That's the first Jaeger bomb that I've had in probably 10 years. Well, I mean, maybe since the last time. All right, take that back. Maybe since the last time I was at the land for this event, because I'm sure we had one then. But
yeah, fair enough. But aside from that, it's a rare occurrence. So Max, anytime I think of you again playing Vintage, I think of you playing some kind of Esper pile. I know your deck had Breach in it. Also,
so yeah,
right? Is it Tinker?
I ended
Breach?
up playing the Grixis Breach deck. So like full disclosure, like I've had this event in my calendar for as long as I possibly could. So whenever you told me, I put it right in my calendar. So months now, because that's unfortunately with my life, I have to schedule things this far out. And so I was preparing for this in the last couple weeks, not to have tried too hard, but I was going through some lists on Magic Online. I conversed a little bit with you about it, about what I think I wanted to play. I went and I was playing a decent amount of like Doomsday and Legacy, and I was like, all right, well, let me play some Doomsday. And that seemed to be going pretty well for a little bit. I got a couple 4-1s, and I was like, all right, I'm feel pretty good about that. And then I just went like 3 straight 0-4s. And I'm like, all right, this is not for me. It seemed like every time I played as Doomsday against Grixis, my opponent just always had everything. And then even whenever I thought that I was safe, then they just would like top deck Brain Freeze and just kill me after my Doomsday.
And kill you after Doomsday.
And
so nice.
So I was like, all right, well, let me check this out. And I played some matches with that. And actually, the last time I played Vintage and Paper was at All American, and I played a very similar list to this. And I think I went like 3-1 or 4-1 with it then too. I was like, all right, well, I already had it basically sleeved up. So I was like, well, let's just roll with this.
I like that. Pat, we're there. We're about to have a Yangtime. What's going through your mind? Tell us about your deck choice.
Yeah, definitely. So I partook in the Yangtime after I looked at my list of safe booze to drink for me and confirmed that Jägermeister is indeed something that
Yes,
I'm
yes,
able to
yes.
drink. So I was like, all right, we're doing this. So I took that, kind of rolling into this tournament. I got to Ohio with two vintage decks. I had the White Initiative deck, and then I had Doomsday, which I played last year. And I was sitting in the hotel room. I tested with Kai on the White Initiative deck some, and then I realized that everybody was just talking about the White Initiative deck, and I was like, every time in my experience playing Magic, if everybody is talking about the deck that you're playing or that you choose, then I typically do not do well on that. So I was like, this is a problem. And then Hockey was having conversations with Kai about the proper counter magic to have in their deck when they were trying to react to the White Initiative menace. And I was like, oh, you're changing Flusterstorms out for spell pierces, and you're upping the count of plows in your deck so that you can play more of this. And in my little calculating mind, I was like, yeah, like this seems like the right time. They've adjusted their main deck to hit White Initiative, and so if I can just steamroll them before that with Doomsday, then they're running in game one suboptimal counter magic and 3x swords to plowshares. I was like, this has got to be the deck that I need to be playing this weekend. And plus, of all of my vintage decks, I've had probably the most reps on Doomsday, and so I was like, yeah, I feel like this is the right deck choice to make. I'm going to be really really tired by the end of it. It's just kind of the nature of the game. I was going into it, and I was feeling good about my deck choice at that point, just because I felt like everybody had prepared for White Initiative.
I wish I would have talked to you. I guess someone did tell me that morning, maybe, that you might have the white deck sleeved up. I had been getting my own reps with the white deck, with the Chancellor of the Annex and all the Chrome Moxes. I really liked how the deck played. It was just doing stuff I wanted to do. But the Archon decks in general, Archon is like an awesome card to me. I think it's great. I'm actually looking right here at the color rough of the Archon of Emeria. I own that,
Nice.
and it's sitting on my desk. And it's an awesome card. So I was excited to play that card potentially again, but I just honestly did not have time to print the deck and sleeve it up. So I brought the tournament organizer's best friend, Oops All Spells. Round one, I sat down against Stu, and he played turn one Lavinia, I think, and I didn't have anything to say. That was my day, pretty much, in a nutshell. So, yeah, I had fun, and I got to do the thing several times, so I can't really complain too much. But I did not, just like with the Black Green Entomb deck, I didn't have a very intimate chat with my deck beforehand about what cards it should give me, and did not wine and dine my Oops All Spells deck properly, and it just did not provide me the cards I needed. So also, it's very important to win the die roll, and I didn't do that in the first 3 rounds, I think. So I have to look at my notes.
Get good, man.
Yeah, we're not going to focus on my stuff. What I want to do here is I want to talk real quick. I want to run through round by round. I have the kind of the tournament path for each of you, and I want maybe a couple sentences from each of you. I'm going to remind you who you played in each round and any highlights or anything cool that happened in those rounds. I'm going to ask you guys about that as we go through the tournament. Okay, so Max, round one, you open up with Eric Caffrey on the mono green shops deck. Did he go off on you? It shows you that you lost one of those games.
He did. The main memory I have from this match was that the Blight Steel came in, and I knew that him being, I didn't exactly know what kind of, he was kind of a brew, right? He was playing the shops deck with Harden Scales.
Yes. It's the Harden Scales deck.
And I knew he had Cradle, so I'm like, this dude has Bosiju in his deck. And so then I brought in the Blight Steel out of my board, and that was he let me tinker with it in hand. He's like, fine. He assumed I had the Sphinx, and then we were able to get him after that pretty easily. So that was 1 point for the Blightsteel. The old boy.
Got him.
So and you had both targets in your sideboard, right?
Yeah,
for
the
that
Sphinx
purpose,
and the
basically,
Blightsteel. Yeah, it's a little bit of a wasted spot, but with all those besiegers running around, it really won that game. And then, not to jump ahead, but I played Ben playing Dredge, and I don't know if Sphinx would have won that game. That game that you actually witnessed, that game 3. I don't know if I had Sphinxed out, if I could have raced him. I don't know if I could have or not, but probably I could have. But I know that Dredge, know that the Blightsteel took it down pretty easily at that point.
Pat, I see you played Jared round 1. What do you recall from that match?
Esper initiative type of build or something.
Yeah, Esper Tinker initiative.
I remember that I won the die roll, which makes a huge difference. And then in game 1, I think that he spent a turn demonic tutoring. He tapped out to play demonic tutor, and I was like, oh, this is something, I don't know. At this point, he's running something that's more rogue, because I was expecting the kind of blue-white initiative strategy. But that gave me the opportunity. He was not showing Flusterstorm at that point, so I was able to go off after he tapped out to demonic tutor. And he probably demonic tutored for the best spell, which would be, Force of Will, because I don't think that he was running Mind Break Trap in his main or anything. At that point, I knew I had enough mana to Doomsday and then Flusterstorm back up whatever he had, and I also had the Force of Will in my hands. I don't know. I had all the cards that time.
You had it all.
Yeah, and then in game 2...
So he did not gain the initiative. Okay.
Yeah, he did not gain the initiative in that game. In game 2, he was on the play, and he was able to land the 3-drop one, the Orc 3/3 initiative guy.
Yes.
White Plume. Yeah, it was another situation where the White Plume, it needed to have cost 1 less, basically. He tapped out because he needed to get something on board, right? But then at that point, he wasn't representing Flusterstorm. I had just a Force of Will in hand. The way that deck plays, you're like, okay, I have 1 piece of Force of, for counter magic. Like, I need to just attempt it this time and attempt to go off. And it was, my Force of Will in that exchange, because I was the one who spell originally.
It went
through, and I was able to go off in 1 turn again on that one. So
nice.
Hockey and I had talked about the white-blue initiative deck, and he was like, Hockey is unguarded always about his opinions, so he just was like, I think this deck is not good with how fast Vintage is these days. Like, you have all of these tap-out things, so if you're playing against a fair opponent, you can win, but if you're playing against these, like, really popular strategies, like, it's just going to be too fast for all of those strategies. And
the majority of the format.
Right. You'll have to wait until really late in order to have counter magic backup and play a threat. So I think that's kind of what worked out in my favor on that one.
Yeah, because you don't have any of the lock pieces in this. That's the point. That's the issue, right? So you're behind by the time you're playing a guy and having a counter. And
right. One of the strategies that deck has, the Archon in the sideboard. And so I was hoping that didn't happen. But you know how you can side in the Archons in game 2.
Yeah, I'm looking at his list. I don't think he had that.
Yeah, so
I guess he had 3 of them, but like that's not enough. It's not enough. So let's just go to round 2 because that's more interesting to me because you played a mirror match against Kyle Lennox in round 2, and I assume you resolved Doomsday and he didn't. Is that how it went?
Yeah. So the first one, I won the die roll again, which is a huge advantage, and then he kind of led off by trying to resolve a ancestral, and I was able to counter his ancestral with a Flusterstorm, which is just like, puts an end to all that nonsense.
That's awesome.
And then kind of probably on turn 3, on his turn, I was able to, I had been holding my ancestral, and so I resolved it in response to some stuff he was doing, and then was able to Flusterstorm afterwards. All of the stuff, including the
all of his action,
and the counter magic on my ancestral, and so that came in like super clutch. And then in game 2, he got stuck on lands, and then I was able to, basically, hold up counter magic in response to him, because he had everything. He had Op Agent, he had, I think, 2 Mind Break traps. It was just like, he had the more well-prepared sideboard for the mirror match.
Right.
And I was just able, because of the land situation, I was able to take over that game.
Max, in round 2, you face off against Lorien, and he was on Atraxa Oath, it looks like. What anything interesting or memorable that you remember from that?
So the main thing with this match so he had like an insane opener in game 1. He had Oath and a bunch of counter magic and Orchard, like maybe turn 1 or turn 2, and it was like pretty much there's nothing I could do, and I was like, all right, well, you got it. And then the other thing that I took from this match, which actually ended up serving me well the rest of the tournament, was that I had 2 Spell Pierce in my sideboard, and then that ended up being really strong against the Oath decks. So it was nice to have that in there, because sometimes you just sit on Fluster and they're like, Oath of Druids, and then you're like, well, I guess I lose now. So so it was nice to have that, and that card kind of overperformed in a lot of matchups, especially because I ended up playing Oath 2 more times in the tournament.
Okay, so Spell Pierce was one of your MVPs.
Spell Pierce was a nice one, especially when you're going against the Oath guys.
In round 3, you faced off also eventual top 8 competitor Stu. How did that match go? Do you remember that match?
The only thing I remember is game 1. And this would be something, I don't know, Stu and I talked about this a little bit, and maybe you guys can address what you would do too. But basically, he was on Esper, and he just had like turn 1 Tinker, right? And he's just jamming Tinker. And I had Force, and then, like the pro I am, I just top deck Tinker myself, and then tinkered him, and then that's how I won game 1. But he's like, well, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, we don't really know what each other are playing. If you have the turn 1 Tinker, like, and I told him I'm jamming basically no matter what. Like, what if I'm on Dredge? What if I'm on, a squee deck? Maybe I don't have Force, but, basically, what are you guys doing? Or if you have like turn 1 Tinker, like, are you all just jamming
with no force?
No force. Are you jamming or are you waiting?
I mean, I guess it depends on what the rest of my hand is, but
I mean, you're against an unknown opponent.
In the blind, I would probably
I'm jamming.
After I tinker, what is the rest of my hand?
Yeah, so good question. Saying. We talked a little bit about that too. Like, do you have the hope of having some disruption? Like, maybe you need to draw another land and then you have like Fluster backup, or you need to draw another Force and you have blue card backup. Are you more inclined to sit on that and maybe hope that you draw into your disruption or whatever card you need? Or are you?
I might be more inclined to sit on it, especially because like there's a ton of decks that play Force of Will. So even if you're not playing against a blue deck, like Bizarre decks on turn 1 have 7 cards, so I'd be inclined to sit on it. But in general, I guess I don't play Vintage to like not do insane plays. So I would
same here. So I came here to do Vintage things, right? So. That's what I kind of came to that conclusion too, that, I'm going to probably jam it almost no matter what, unless there's a really good reason not to.
Yeah, I'm a full proponent of make him have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he puts you to the test, you force him, and then like a champ being really good at this game, you draw it yourself and tinker him back and Citadel him.
Yeah, and that was the main memory of that. Game 2 went similarly to that. It didn't seem to matter that much. I think maybe I bolted a Lavinia or something, and that was about it.
Right. So Pat, round 3. What do you remember from this match?
What was the deck again?
Lurrus PO.
Okay.
With Goblin Engineer.
Okay.
Goblin Engineer was.
So in game 1, I went off on the play on turn 1, So I had like the nut draw without any sort of disruption, and I was under the make 'em have it principle, and I was able to just had enough cards for it.
He did not
Yeah,
have
he
it.
didn't have it. So then in game 2 was able to manufacture that deck is so good at manufacturing a really fast vault key combo. And so he did that like I think turn 3 he had it, or turn 2 he had it even. And I was still trying to be the person who went off first, so I had sideboarded thinking, like I need to just go off faster than him kind of. But I'm pretty sure he had a little bit of disruption in that one. And then in game 3, I had like a little bit of a slower hand that was going to go off on either turn 2 or turn 3. And Bob basically, vomited his hand out, and he had, Time Vault, and then he had the Urza Saga there that was ticking up, and then I was able to, I knew that he had only one card in hand, so I needed just one in order to get him. I needed to have one counter spell, and then the combo plus like the draw spells, which when you're in when you have at least 2 undergrounds down, then you are able to just use one Street Wraith to get into your winning in the Doomsday pile. And so, yeah, I was able to draw one piece of disruption, which I think was a Flusterstorm, and then I went off, and then was able to do a gush stack. So I, went I went in with the Street Wraith, paid 2, got the gush, picked up 2 cards, and was able to draw, the Lotus Ancestral type of thing, which, because I had the disruption, I knew that even if he had like the off chance misstep, I was going to be okay. So that's how that one went.
That must have been just game 2 because we have it recorded as 2-0. So that must have just been, it just must have seemed like 3 games. He like was going to kill you. It was looming with his infinite turns combo. Or maybe there was a clerical error that was not my fault at all.
Yeah, I probably missed
Bob was the one working the computer when you weren't, so.
He was. Bob, you're right. Actually, you're right. So maybe he was ashamed and didn't
just
record
took the L.
Who knows?
Yeah. But round 4, you ended up facing against Kai, who I imagine you play on a fairly regular basis.
So yeah, Kai is a Mainer. He lives in Mainer, so he's not in Austin proper. And so I had played Kai the night before, but I hadn't played Kai since like one of our previous Romancing the Stones events. But I had heard everybody talking about Tinker, the kind of, I thought, I would call it control, but I guess it's kind of mid-rangey. That's kind of how I got recorded on MTG Top 8. And I didn't know about any of this Hurkyl, the actual creature spice that they were doing at the time.
Right.
But on those games, it was similar in that I beat him to the go off, right?
Okay.
He was, in a spot where he kind of needed to tinker or bust because of the cards in my hand. And because of them playing, they were optimizing their decks game 1 for the initiative type of match. I think that, it really helped. It was really in my favor that he was playing a Spell Pierce over a Flusterstorm.
That ended up being in your favor.
The 3x swords, it was just like those sometimes are devoted to counter magic or, other things that make it really hard to win with Doomsday or an op agent main deck or something like that. But yeah, I was able to navigate that one. How many games did that one go to? I can't remember.
This was 3 games, so maybe Hurkyl got you one of the games.
Yeah. And I think he got me with a Vault Key.
Vault Key, yeah. Okay. So Kai had a good run. Overall, but you put him on to the losing track there. I think you guys are both undefeated at that point.
Right.
Max, in round 4, you faced off against Brian Hockey, basically on the same deck, I think. So you guys both encountered the deck at the same time at different tables.
I wish I had a good memory and story of this. I think like at one point he carded me, and did I lose a game here? At one point he
You
carded
did,
me,
yeah,
and then I
since you lose
lost.
the
And
game.
then
Yeah.
other than that, there's nothing really that out of the ordinary, at least that comes to mind right now on him.
When were you on camera? Was this your camera match?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, so I'll mention that we had Rob Wilson from Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy. He had the stream going. That's on the stream. It's on their YouTube now. So a lot of these rounds are on camera. I don't recall. Pat, were you on the camera in any of these Swiss rounds?
One of the last Swiss round was Stu, I think, or maybe it was the top 8. Oh. Yeah, I was in. So none of the Swiss rounds.
It was top 8. Okay, yeah. So I was generally directing like the X1 and X2 decks onto camera when I could, just because we were going to see everyone else later. Yeah. So just want to see some of the cool decks like the Ozolith deck on camera. So yeah, Max, you got Karned, and then it was good after that.
Yeah, after that, everything kind of went according to plan. Nothing too crazy.
Okay, so here you ran into the guy I was just talking about. You run into Rob Wilson in round 5. You're 4-0 at this point. He's on the Breach Oath deck with Atraxa.
Yeah. So he's got. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like 4-0 or whatever, and I got my spell pierces, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna be okay. Yeah, turn 1 or game 1, turn 1. He just like he's got it all, and he just crushes me, and pretty much the same thing happened in game 2, and there wasn't really much counterplay to it. I don't think there was anything else I could have done. He just beat me very easily.
He just vintaged you out of existence.
Yeah, I think I had forces, and it just didn't matter.
And he had his forces, and it resolved his spell. Yeah. That happens. So, but you bounce back. Let's talk about round 5 on the other side. Pat is cruising along. He's also undefeated at this point. He took out Kai, and he's heading in his round 5 against Jake Baltz, who's on like a cool deck. Talk to us about this, how it went.
With Jake, that was probably some of the best vintage games that I played in the tournament in regards to just like the interaction between our decks.
He's got Shieldred in his deck. He's got Hull Breacher in his deck. So those make it hard for you to win in one turn.
Game 1, he had a Narset down, and I was able to get through the Narset with the Time Walk Sleight of Hand stack, which was like the first time that's ever happened in my entire life. So that was like, something I can check off, because that was, Afterwards, Jake was like, you really don't draw with sleight of hand? I'm like, yeah, you really don't draw with sleight of hand. It just gets put in your hand. It's old template. I remember just being like, wow. I wonder if he had a counter spell that he just didn't, he thought maybe I was going to get, he let it resolve thinking that it was actually a card draw spell, and it was just going to cut, Narset was going to cut it off. But yeah, that was really cool. Right. And that one, and then he had like duresses in his deck, which I was like not super thrilled about, because that's the kind of thing that makes a Doomsday player cry, is when they don't have any shields up, and then all of a sudden they just get duressed, and the thing that makes them win the game just goes away. In game 3, I was able to do the Demonic Consult Thassa's Oracle 2-card combo, the CDH staple. You put both of those cards in your deck regardless of what your deck it is. Being on the play in game 3 allowed me to do that really quickly. So that's how that one went.
Nice. And then you finished up your Swiss rounds against the aforementioned Rob Wilson, again on Breach Oath. I assume he was not able to put a turn 1 Oath into play against you, or maybe he did and you still killed him.
Yeah, he turn 1 Oathed. How many games did that go to? 3, right? Oh, just 2?
Just 2, okay. It says.
Yeah, he turned 2 Oathed and got Atraxa, and I wish I had the epic story about how I somehow navigated that one. So his deck, looking at the list afterwards, it's like it's all fire, it's all combo pieces, and so I think that the likelihood that his shields are going to be down, even after resolving Atraxa, is way higher. So that was
way higher. Yeah,
I remember what happened. It is kind of epic. So on that game, I didn't know what it's like. Memory's Journey. There's this card, Memory's Journey, which is like shuffles target player's deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went off, and he had a Memory's Journey like buried deep in his pile of his oath pile in the graveyard, and I didn't even think about it, but yeah, like it has legs against Doomsday because you can put the things in your graveyard back on it in response to the Oracle trigger. But I had enough mana in that game, so I made a stack where it was like if one Thassa's Oracle gets countered, which is what I thought would potentially happen, was it getting countered. Then I had a second one to follow up afterwards after everything had left the stack. But what happened was he Memory's journeyed in response to the first one going off, and so I didn't have a devotion of 2. I had 4 cards in my deck at that point, and it was still on the battlefield. So when I played the second one, I had a devotion of 4, and that was exactly the amount of cards in my deck at that point. And so yeah, like
I think it's important.
I like accidentally played around that card without even realizing it, like. And if I almost tapped my Black Lotus before I saw like I just almost tapped my Black Lotus and almost got that put in my deck, so it would have been a devotion of 5, and I would have lost that game. But I holding off on just cracking the mana to have it floating in the air. I just had it there, kind of by accident. But that's the way that it works when you end up. If you end up winning that rare time that you win that tournament, it's just kind of things like that happen. Serendipity happens,
Things like that happen along the way that have to happen to
what does Memory's Journey do?
I think it's important to note that Robert ended up in 3rd place after playing both you guys in the Swiss, and then going to top 8. So strong showing.
Oh yeah, no, Rob had an insane day. All that gasoline in his deck normally was finding the battlefield fairly regularly. So, Max, let's look at your last Swiss round before we jump into talking about the top 8. Matt, you played Dredge, and that was the epic one you said earlier, where the Blightsteel came in at the very end and like won the game.
Yeah, exactly. He wins turn 1 or game 1 like Dredge typically does. And then we had some hate come in, and we were able to take game 2, and then game 3. I have Leyline in the Void. He has Green Force, and then we get into like a little bit of a back and forth, and I was able to get the Blightsteel out and take him down in two hits. Though he did have a blocker, so I had to survive.
He did have blocker, yeah, and he had. But when I came there, he had 2 active Bazaars, so that's really where I think him having found the second Bazaar and being able to play it before he emptied his hand. That's what kept him in that game.
Yeah,
right? Like it would have been fine if his graveyard wasn't.
That game turned out to be that he had powdered away his last Creeping Chill.
Ooh.
Oh, and that was what could have probably
I think
killed
I was
you.
in pretty good shape almost no matter what, as far as I could tell. But because we knew that he had that Creeping Chill was the only thing I was worried about, and I knew he'd powdered the last one away. So at that point, we were in pretty good shape almost no matter what, but it was close though.
So that's the Swiss rounds. So Max, you end up 5-1 in the Swiss rounds. Pat, you're 6-0, top seed in the Swiss rounds. But the way that the top 8 broke down, it was basically like all the Texas players were on one side of the bracket, and then all the Ohio or Team Series players were on the other side of the bracket. So it was going to be like a pretty epic final no matter what. So let's start on Max's side. Charles on Mono White Initiative was first.
So we come against Mono White. Game 1, he mulls to like 5, and I have kind of a slow hand, but I figure that I'm okay. And then he, I think he just naturally on turn 3 plays the Phyrexian Censor.
Okay.
And then that buys him just enough time to play another Haint Bear. Or then he plays the Venturer, the White Plume Adventurer, and then he kills me off his mull to 5. And then I have this was geared towards this mono white deck. I had 2 lightning bolts in my sideboard, additional to one in the main. So I get a couple lightning bolts, and the last 2 games were pretty much like he plays a guy, I lightning bolt and kill him. And that was it. That was pretty much it. Lightning bolt, tinker, lightning bolt, do whatever we do with the breach, and we were able to kind of avoid any of the other good pieces. So he didn't have any of the really insane mono white draws on the play where he has like Chancellor plus like the Hate Bear, then he has the Adventurer, and then he has everything.
That's the dream hand. I love those. The Chancellor, Tuck Chancellor on the Chromox, Ancient Tomb, Archon.
So I mean, he had the turn. He had the early Archon, but I sacked my fetch land and got my Vulcan, bolted it, and then I just killed him the next turn. It wasn't really a game after that.
Love it. Okay, so on the other side, Pat, you sit down against Stu, who you did not face in the Swiss, but you knew kind of what he was doing.
Stu is always like very straightforward. He's like, I'm choosing this deck and I'm playing it. He had play tested the White Initiative deck and played it in the Vintage Champs when you won the whole thing. And he was like, I don't know if I want to do that again. Like, there's just more options if I play Tinker. And so I knew that he was on Tinker, and he knew that I was on Doomsday at that point. And game 1, he was able to resolve a Tinker. He was on the play, and then, my ability to interact at that point became very limited because he was just, drawing hot off the top of his deck, which makes it so I can't, he's got Hate Bears like Lavinia and stuff, so I can't do my thing anymore, and I can't counter his counter magic. Right. So that one went that way. And then in game 2, I had an op agent opener, and I kind of waffled on it for a little while because with Urza Saga, sometimes like if they have this kind of Urza Saga hand, it's just like your op agent just becomes really terrible.
Right.
Needless to say, he played a Urza Saga the first turn, and then on the second turn he played a crack land, and then I was able to, in response, crack to his cracking of his fetch on my end step, crack my fetch in Dark Ritual in an op agent, and then get his and then he did not draw a colored source of mana for the remainder of the game.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so you did get him with that, and then that was it.
I forgot to tell you about when I was playing against Jake. Jake, in game 3, I had op agent against Jake on that one.
Okay.
I responded to his Urza Saga fetch by getting his Manifold key, and I was able to kill him with the op agent unblockable through his construct tokens. So that was like
nice.
That's why, that game against Jake, that match was like insane. Like so many weird things happened in that game.
Shout out to Jake.
Going back to Stu, the last game I just ended up going off conventionally. I dodged the Hate Bear opener, which is always the scary one, where it's like, resolve Lavinia pass to you. You're like, okay, I can't do anything at that point. So I was able to play my spells, and he was clearly not. He just, the cards didn't line up and very well on that last game. He knew what he needed, but he couldn't mulligan to a point where it was like he could actually get the cards that he needed to beat me on that one. So that one was less of a close game, which sometimes just happens.
So I feel like Max, your games were done a lot quicker overall. Like I feel like you were hanging out. At one point I was like, "How you doing?" And you're like, "I'm still playing, dude."
Yeah. I mean, I was like planning on doing most of the cooking, and unfortunately, I just kept winning. So there's no cooking for me. Everyone else had to take up that mantle.
Your semifinal on your side, you face against Rob. Yes. You'd already played him in the
rematch
Swiss.
Against Rob, and he's like just come off killing me, like just not close. And I'll have to, because I think we were on camera for this, so I'll have to go back and rewind, like, and see if there is anything super interesting that happened. At one point, the game that he won, he has a hand where he can bait. He uses Ancestral as bait. I have a force, and I force his Ancestral, and then he just goes Orchard Oath.
Ah,
So I'd be
brutal.
curious to see like there is some discussion at that point, like what maybe the right play could have been, like what you guys do in that situation. Do I just let him Ancestral and then hope that he draws nothing?
He doesn't get forced
Yeah.
back up to his oath that he already
Yeah, I
had.
mean we don't know he has an oath at the time, but we, I guess we can maybe surmise that he does. But yeah, so he
When did he cast Ancestral? Was it was main phase?
It was main phase. Yeah, it's main phase Ancestral. I counter it, I force it, and then he just goes like Orchard Oath, or maybe he already had Orchard,
that's a bit of a red flag,
or
right?
he might have already had the Orchard, but he had then he oaths me. So that was obviously the bait. Like I have to take the bait there, right? I don't know if I can get out of not doing it, but maybe I can.
Yeah.
That was the game that he won, and then the other two games I had a Citadel, and I did brick a little bit. So it wasn't like a super easy win. It was one of those ones where you did have to kind of
keep hitting lands.
Go through it a little bit, but this Citadel still kind of gave me enough juice to win, and he didn't draw perfectly, so I was able to kind of just squeak by him.
All right, so that sets you up for a final. You're waiting at this point now, and you're waiting for the result of Pat versus Hockey, which was like, I don't know. This was untimed, but it seemed like it must have been hours long match, right, Pat?
Yeah. So Hockey's like the ringer of our tournament area, right? He just like continues to win all the time. So it's really unnerving to sit across the table from him. I don't really get very good reads off of him a lot because he doesn't seem to give those off when the shields are down or the shields are up. He doesn't ever seem like bummed out with draws or anything, and he's just a really tight player. So yeah, we were very in the tank on that one. Yeah, I wish I could give more details on it in regards to like what happened, but I had two games where it was like really just a toss up where I was like, if he has one piece of counter magic, I'm going to lose. And if he doesn't, then I will win. So, are there going to be any other opportunities for me to go off after this specific time period? Yeah.
The spot. Yeah. So you had some spots and
right. I just went out and it was like, if this doesn't resolve, I can't win. And yeah, he wasn't able to to be win the counter war basically on those. And so I somehow beat him, which I can probably count on my hands. That's maybe like the third time that I've ever beat Hockey. I'm not even kidding.
Well, like you said, I mean, this is you put together a crazy run, and at this point, you're very tired from playing the deck. You are able to test him. He's not able to answer. And this sets up the final.
Right. I think Max. That going back again to just like them respecting the initiative deck a lot more, and the game one is just like a huge advantage. Because typically that is I would say that the Tinker matchup is like really difficult to win.
So some of the changes they made to the deck to handle initiative, ended up favoring you in that matchup. So
I like that cross theme. I like the disruption that the initiative deck is bringing to the meta. Let's put it that way.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, it's the rock, paper, scissors, lizard. I don't know what's the other one. Spock. This is a good thing, I think, right? So it sets up a cool final in my mind. Really good Doomsday player versus a very proficient blue player. So Max, I mean, I assume you knew that Pat was on Doomsday at this point. How did you feel about that matchup?
So going into it, I felt actually pretty good about it because I had been playing Doomsday decks, and like I said, I kept running into Grixis decks. Either they just had everything or they would have their random brain freeze. It was really difficult for me to play around that, outside of like just duressing it.
Right.
And at the time I was running one duress in my deck, so I was just very rarely that would come up. So I was feeling okay about that. But I drove home after this and I had some time to think about how the match played out. And there are like a couple decision points where I think I could have done something a little bit different. So I'll be curious to see what you guys think. Obviously, it's on the stream.
Right.
So game one, in my head, I'm thinking he knows that I'm playing Grixis. I'm hoping that Pat's going to maybe respect that a little bit. Needless to say, he did not.
No,
Narrator, he did not.
So I keep this hand. It's pretty mana heavy and like light on action. And then he duresses me, and I don't remember what he takes, but he might have taken good the only spell I had.
think it was a force spell, yeah.
Was it a force? Yeah. And then I merchant scroll for another force, and you knew all my hand except for one card, and you didn't know that card was also a land. And so I was hoping that you thought it was a blue card and that I would be able to counter whatever spell you had. Maybe you had a fluster or something in your hand to counter it, but that whenever you played that Necro, they just like played it right into it. And I don't know what you had in your hand at the time.
Yeah, I kind of read that because of the body language and stuff. I was like, he doesn't have it.
Yeah, I thought I was being clever. I'm like, I'm gonna get this force and like.
Yeah, you really, you're kind of like maybe just the way that it was presented. It was like, you put your full heart into it or something. But I was like,
yeah, I guess not. But
this is a stranded force of will.
Yeah, but that was the line there. Yeah. That was the play in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna be really clever about this because I don't think I think what else do I do? Like, do I just get like ancestral and then I have nothing and then he just kills me when I'm tapped out? Yeah. So I got that. So that was the game one line to me. That right there.
Good bluff. Good go for it.
Yeah, we gave it a try. He didn't respect it.
Every time that.
You gotta take lessons from hockey, man. You gotta learn how to be cold as ice out there with those cards.
Every time that you merchant scrolled, I was just like fingers crossing that you didn't get the brain freeze. That was something where I was like afterwards Stu was laughing at me. He was like, yeah, you like really leaned in. You looked like creepy intense when Max was shuffling.
Yeah, I knew that like that is like the ultimate trump card, but you're right. I probably should have just gotten that then, but I guess I thought I was going to die on that turn, your subsequent turn, no matter what. So maybe I should have just thought, okay, well if he has a Doomsday, I'm probably dead.
Past the turn pile.
Yeah, maybe I can live through the past the turn pile, and then if I have brain freeze, then it's going to be really hard for him to win.
Yeah. So that was
maybe that in retrospect that's probably a better line to take then.
Yeah, and I landed a Necro, and so it wasn't. I'm probably gonna like look at the match afterwards and be like, what was I talking about on stream? That's just not accurate. But yeah, I think that I didn't necessarily go off that quickly because I was able to do the Necro thing. So I was just like really relieved that you didn't get that because after I'm pretty sure I gave you a chance to untap after that, and it was like. Okay, now, and had there been it just makes it really, really hard to win when somebody has mana for a brain freeze, unless they tap out and they can't fluster. But even one resolving is just like usually game over. So I just felt really lucky in that game in regards to, that.
Yeah, you make a good point there, Pat. That definitely was a way better line than. I'll definitely learn that in the future.
Yeah, I think that it was
just go for the brain freeze and just
right. You're just.
I thought I was being really clever. Like I'm going to get a force of will. And
you're going to next level me with your.
Yeah.
Well, if he had Doomsday, it might have worked, right? Like if Pat's play was Doomsday, but since he had a longer, grindier play in Necro, right? Then, he still had Doomsdays left in his deck probably. So he's. Figures if that is a blue card, even if your body language was lying to him, then oh well.
Right, that's the next level right there. The level 3 is like giving me the body language that you're just giving. You don't have it when you actually do, and if you talk to the innovator, Patrick Chapin about that, he would probably have some words about that. Like how. I think he would refer to it as like a Jedi mind trick or something. There's a chapter on that somewhere written.
Angelo, can that be our next track? The next level?
Yeah. The next level.
Okay, so that's game 1. Pat resolves Necro and ends up winning. Game 2, Max. So what do you bring in for this?
All right, so let's see. What do we... What do we bring in on
Pat, while he's thinking about it, what did you bring in?
Let me think. I brought in my Shieldred, and I brought in my Op Agent, and then let's see. I may have brought an Energy Flux in. I don't think I did, though. Yeah, I only brought in those 2 cards, the Shieldred and the Op Agent, which, what usually happens with sideboard cards is that I, didn't see those in game 2 at all. But
Didn't
yeah,
see
they
it.
didn't really
Didn't
matter.
matter. Okay.
I set it out in a Street Wraith.
Okay, 1 day is 1 Street Wraith. Max, I'm gonna guess you played what? Needle on Street Wraith? Did you bring in Needle?
I that might have been an okay idea. I just brought in Pierces and Pyro, 2 Pierces and 1 Pyro.
Okay.
And this was another game where I was thinking about this in the ride home, and I think that I totally played it the wrong way. Where we talked about before, like, okay, well, like when you have it, do you try to jam it, right? And this is one of the situations where I think that was most likely a bad idea. It turned out bad, but it also was a bad idea in its foundation. Because what we're trying to do upon further thought here is we have to be the control deck. Even though we have combo in our deck, we're not as good a combo deck as the Doomsday deck. And there's no reason for me to just try to jam Tinker on turn 1 and hope that he doesn't have it. But in my head, I'm thinking he's probably going to be set up for a longer game, maybe. And maybe he doesn't have it, and I can just try to sneak this Tinker through. And it turned out not to be the case, where he has the counter for the Tinker, and then he has another Necro, and it's pretty much game over after that. That was my side of the game.
This was the game where you shouldn't have gone for a turn 1 Tinker because you knew your opponent. This was not an unknown opponent, and it was a game 2, right?
And it was just a fundamental not knowing what your role is, right? My role is not to be the combo deck. I just made that up in my head right before then that's what I should try to do, because that'd be something he wasn't expecting. It dawned on me when I was driving home, like I should just be the control deck there, because we have the inevitability in Urza's Saga. We can just play at the end of his turn, and then also, we have these big silver bullets like Brain Freeze and these, other cards where it's going to make it really hard for him to win, and then he has to win on his main phase. And we don't have to do that. We don't have to operate on our main phase. We can always operate on the end step. So that was the lesson learned from that game.
Right. I think that was the big thing. There was a good chance that I was going to just keep whatever action if it looked like it was going to go off without a Force of Will. But that hand was a really good hand in that it had Necro, it had Force of Will in it, and a blue card. And I didn't expect for you to attempt that. I kind of expected you to have Force backup just because of how fast everything went down. You were like, this resolve, and then boom, trying it. It's like, wow, it's out there, and then it's like,
yeah,
I just have to try to counter it, regardless of whether or not I think that you have the blue card and Force in your hands. At that point, shields were down, and I think you had 2 cards maybe in your hand at that point, and I just like, at that point, I was like, do I respect these cards at all?
Yeah, I mean, if I had anything, then I would have countered you back, so it was pretty
right,
easy
exactly.
to tell if
I just didn't, at that point, I was, did not have to respect really anything, because I figured, you would have countered that.
It's interesting, though. I would say, Max, you were saying that you played a lot of Doomsday. Like this has happened to me a bunch of times where I play a card and I know what it does when I play it in my deck, but when it's on the other side of the table, I forget what it does.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that kind of you caught in the same trap in the finals there, where you know how Doomsday works when you are piloting it, but forgot a little bit about how to fight it when you were playing against it.
Yeah, and like I said, it just came down to fundamental misjudging of what your role is, right? Who is the beatdown? Who's the control? Like, who's the combo? You need to figure that out,
Right.
Sometimes that changes, right? Sometimes that changes during the game. Like, all of a sudden, like I am the combo guy now, or I am the beatdown now. But in this game, it should have been from the beginning. That was just a misunderstanding of my role. And then that's what really kind of led to all the decisions after that were like all wrong.
So then Pat takes it out in 2. That was a really awesome top 8 overall. I was really excited to see all the names that made that top 8. And yeah, Pat, any comments or thoughts you have on that? on that final to wrap us up talking about vintage top 8?
It was awesome. It felt pretty cool to take the whole thing down, and it was a really good tournament. And then I comfortably made some new Doomsday piles that I had never made before, and then used some that I had only read about. Basically, the go off through the Narset one was really cool. The op agent killing with somebody else's manifold key while they had a time vault out
All these, yeah, vintage
was like a vintage achievement. And then I forgot, so I had one stack with Stu that was actually one of the ones that we got the game 3 of my match with Stu in the semis, where I made a stack where the top card was Energy Flux, and it totally blew Stu out.
So you just did you pass the turn and then just get your turn back and play Energy Flux?
And then
and then
after that it was
that's
like
sick.
he had no mana sources in play that were colored, and so it was just like, well, that's just and I've never put that card in a pile before. Yeah, I was like basically unlocking achievements left and right, man. It was like, wow, I knew Doomsday was powerful, but most
were
most
on
of those
fire,
games
man.
were
you were on another
fast. Like, just
you were on another level, really, man. You were, congratulations. That was an awesome run overall. You didn't drop many games. It was really cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man.
Congrats.
Props
Congrats.
to,
so now you have to come back.
Props to Pat for making like tight plays too, and it's not easy to like make those plays with a bunch of people behind your back, watching you. Like that adds an extra layer of pressure, and especially with that deck, there's an implication that once you cast Doomsday, you have to win the game. If you don't, then you've messed up because you made a bad pile, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to you, man. That's not an easy thing to do, even if the pile might seem obvious, or even if it, it's not an easy thing to do. It's easy to mess up. So
yeah, the sideboard cards, Op Agent, I'm so sold on that card. Stu was also giving me shit the way that I was playing Op Agent, because I was just like overly excited that I got to control my opponent, and I was like, your hand. Stu was like, I know about that. Just chill out, bro. I'll show you my hand in a second here. Yeah, it was also funny because so when I was playing Jake, after we were done with the match, we were talking about it, and then I was like, it's so crazy how I controlled you with opposition agent. And he didn't realize that I was just referring to like the text on the card, and he got kind of offended that I was like saying that I controlled him and control me. But we resolved it. Yeah, I wasn't like trying to make some statement about that. That it was just like what was written on the card, and I was trying to talk to how powerful that card is. Right. Shieldred, always countered. I can
see Jake
but I assume that card is really good when it lands. Because everybody respected it by countering it.
Must be good if people want to counter.
Yeah, and then the Energy Flux.
It eats counter spells.
I'm like, man, against Stu, that was just like. I was expecting to play against a bunch of shops, and so I dedicated 4 sideboard slots to shops. It was weird how it had a lot of utility against a lot of these big blue decks. People are just playing their rocks out, and then all of a sudden they have to pay for those rocks, and it's just not fun anymore, And psychologically,
not fun. So you heard it here. You heard it here, folks. Doomsday piles should always include Energy Flux.
Always.
Let's move on here. So Max, I think you took off soon after the prize draft.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so before we jump into the prize draft, which actually occurred after the Swiss, I want to talk about one deck that I thought was really cool. So we had a very fun participant in the vintages by the name of Matt Noakes, and he played an Oath deck that had Yargle and Multani in it. I'm not sure why. Yargle and Multani is a vanilla creature legend.
So I was on the receiving end of that.
Is an 18/6. Oh, you got Yargle and Multani'd?
Oh, I did. It was awesome. I took that match against Matt Noakes, but he in game 2 slammed the old turn one oath with the, I'm just expecting Atraxa or whatever, and he's flipping, and I see what's the dragon enchantment that gives him haste?
Dragon breath.
And then I see dragon wings,
Nice.
and I'm like, what's happening here? And then Yargle and Multani. So it's an 18 power, but it has flying and fire breathing and haste.
Nice.
And he had anger in there too, ready to go. Well, not anger. What did he flipped something to give it haste too? So he flipped
dragon breath gives it haste.
Oh, and it gives it haste and fire breathing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so he fire breathed me out. It was awesome.
Wow.
Felt real bad. Yeah. 20 damage. Turn 2.
That's just style points.
That's so awesome. That's
absolutely.
So awesome. We get a lot of cool cards in this deck too. The sideboard is mostly singletons. It's an interesting choice of cards. I feel like there's a combo here that I'm not getting, but also maybe they're just cards that he likes. Before we wrap up talk of vintage, is there anyone that you guys know of that played any of the Lord of the Rings cards?
No, I did not see them.
I didn't know those were legal.
I thought I said they were, but
I think you did. There were some bangers too.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time, but there's Boromir is a mono white card that's basically like a Lavinia, but is like a white and 2, and seems really interesting. It's kind of a nombo with Talia, but
the orc was exciting.
That's the one I thought potentially I was gonna try to slot in my sideboard at some point, but I thought, just go with the old standby Shieldred. He's a good guy, so.
Yeah. Is Shieldred a guy? I thought Shieldred was a girl.
Yeah.
It's a demon thing.
He's definitely a girl. Sorry, I misspoke here.
I don't know.
A woman.
I like it seems like, yeah. It's a Praetor woman, Praetor. All right. So Max was talking about the environment, and it's difficult to pilot Doomsday, people standing around you. Also probably difficult while a world-famous pub quiz is going on. So, Angelo, here we go.
Let me ask these guys real quick. Did you guys have FOMO, like, while you were playing the top 8? Were you wishing that you had, like, lost a couple more matches and could be doing trivia with us? You can be honest.
Yeah, I would have liked to at least checked it out.
It was really distracting, to be honest. I was just like wanting to listen to what was being said, because it was like a professional level deal. It wasn't just like any old trivia. It was like we got
right,
basically a Wizards employee just like delving deep in all things Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. And yeah, I was definitely bummed that I missed it out on that. Also because I feel like I could have lent the Texas team a little bit of a hand there, because they did not do very well.
They did not do very well. Yeah. So what was the Texas team's name, Angela? Do you remember?
All I remember was my team's name.
I remember there was the team with JR was something with Long Islands, like 3 Mile Long Islands.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing.
Man, I have my notebook upstairs. I'm not going to go grab it. That's the content you get around here.
It's the quality.
Well-prepared show notes. But no, it's better that you don't get to know everything about the trivia, because then you get to hope that you get to participate next time and not win. But here's what I'll tell you. We had 4 teams. We had, Angelo, what was your team's name?
Mishra's Dirty Sanchez. We were going to go with Urza's Dirty Sanchez, but we thought Mishra was more of a Dirty Sanchez guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Definitely. My team was Oops All Smells. That was a reference to my vintage deck and, maybe the scent of the room at that point in the weekend. And then, then we had the Texas team that maybe had a clever Texas name.
Sure did, yeah.
This is a world-famous pub quiz. We have some various types of rounds. So top to bottom, there's 5 total rounds, and you're going to score points, for answering the various things. So a couple highlights. There was a cool round on Hasbro, and it was basically like trivia all related to Hasbro and around Hasbro. Do you remember what were the Has brothers' names? Was not Hasselhoff. I got that one wrong.
Oh, it was wild. Oh man, it was like it wasn't Hassenpfeffer.
Hassenfeld? Was that?
It was something like that. It was
Google it.
something I'd never heard before.
Yeah, but there was a cool round. Was there a round before that, or was that the first round?
At this point of the night, my memory is pretty spotty.
Okay, but we remember most of the lightning round. So the lightning round is one of the team members gets to sit in the chair, and you pick from the Power 9 board. So Nat has all the Power 9 with categories listed on each one. Shoot, I only remember my teams now, too. So, Angelo, do you remember your teams?
Oh, I was excited because it was the many names of Chandra Nalar.
Oh, yes. And you have a Chandra Nalar
I play
deck
like
on Arena.
On Arena, I just put all the Chandras in a deck. So I was like, I'm going to nail this. And he threw out some good ones.
Yeah.
You got me twice.
You missed two. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah. I thought you were going to get all of them.
Well, the one I snapped yes, and then I remembered it was just a card. He said Chandra Keeper of Flame, and I was like, yeah, that's a card. And I was like, wait, no, it's not Chandra Keeper of Flame. It's just Keeper of Flame, which is that Exodus card that you tap to deal 3 damage if your opponent has more life than you.
So I will remember one answer that you had known that I thought was awesome, and that was Space the Convergence. That was a question around a mythical game that was created with magic mechanics.
I remember that there was a whole hypothetical article. They're like, it doesn't have to be Magic the Gathering. We could, this new game is called Space the Convergence, and you have to use, like, instead of mana, they called it something like credits or something. And it was the same game, just a different vehicle. And it was a fun, like, alternate universe. And I never stopped thinking about it.
Well, isn't that the whole point? That was the whole point of the card backs, where they're like, it's like a deck master game, right? Space the Convergence was a potential deck master game, right?
I think so. I think it was more hypothetical than anything, but
the
point was made.
So the lightning round that we chose, we nominated Andy to take on the mantle for Oops All Smells, and the lightning round was The Gathering. Pat, you mentioned Pat Chapin earlier. This is his album that he produced, the rap album, and Nat read off titles, and Andy was to answer yes or no whether or not that was a real song on the album or not. Andy got 8 of 10.
All right. Correct. Let's go.
Yeah, so
it says a lot about Andy.
So yeah, that was an awesome round. My favorite round of trivia was one where Nat put up my deck list from Champs, and
oh man,
so there was 10 blank spots on the deck list, and we were to determine based on the numbers what cards they were.
I was pretty mad about that too, because I remember you and I talking for like a long time about your sideboard, and like, I think I got to go with 3 Tabernacles, and like you kept saying it, and I remember that now, but like I could not tell my team what the 3 of in the sideboard was.
Oh, that was like, we were down to that.
I had insider info, and I couldn't get it right.
I'll say for our team, we did end up getting all of them, but I actually needed the assist from Dwayne in the end on the restricted artifacts that were in my deck, because I didn't remember, because the current version doesn't play those restricted artifacts, just Chalice and Trinosphere. But Dwayne, being the shops player he is, was able to quickly identify that there was probably some restricted artifacts in those slots,
right,
where the artifacts were. So that's a sign of a well-constructed trivia team where everyone could contribute. So we did get all of them, and then everyone else only got 6 for some reason. I don't know why.
Wait.
Yeah. 6 out of 10 is pretty good, I guess. They're not mono white devotees. The trivia was amazing, as always. There was a box of boosters for the winner. That was cool, because right after trivia, we headed into the Crackin Boosties event, which we'll get to in a sec, but I just want to loop back and talk about the prize draft. So the way we run this tournament is there's not actually a big cash prize or anything. Your entry to the tournament is bringing a prize for the prize table. And so what we do is after the tournament Swiss rounds conclude, we get together around the prize table and we draft the prizes top to bottom. If you aren't planning on doing well, or even if you are, I mean, you want your prize to be drafted highly. You want to feel like you put in a cool prize, because if you are taking a cool prize, you want to feel like you put in a cool prize. And there's a ton of awesome prizes on the prize table. I'll try to put some links or something in the show notes or in the write-up when that happens. We head into the prize draft, and Pat and Max are both in the top 8. Talk to us about what you drafted and why you drafted it. I'll start with you, Pat.
I ended up drafting the Ken Meyer Jr. altered Dark Rituals. They were altered to look like Kiss.
Nice.
The reason why I got it is because it seemed like a great memento to put into the Doomsday deck. This is a card that I can literally just add straight into it, and then it's like every time I play this deck, I'm going to be reminded of this awesome, positive experience playing Magic that I had. So that was like an easy take. I mean, they're amazing. I have not gotten a chance to play the deck with them in it, just because it was like I really wanted to immediately put them in there, but then we were potentially going to redraft the prizes, and I was like, well, that would be rude if I put those in my deck and then immediately lost, and then somebody was like, I want those, and then well, I just played.
Right. The intent of the redraft is if there's something that's highly sought after, like you beat Hockey and wanted to take his prize, then like that was really the point there. But that didn't happen. That's okay. Max, what did you pick up from the prize table? Talk to us about why you made that choice.
I will say that my first choice was the Dark Rituals 2 that Pat snagged. That's what I was looking at too.
But he beat me,
you, so I've got nothing to say about that. So I ended up picking up a mystery box. I think Angelo put down with like some random boosters in it. It had this like actually, I don't know the backstory behind this like Force of Will.
Oh, it's a Ken Meyer Jr. proxy.
Okay.
That I had 5 of, so I was like, get rid of that one.
So
I think it's some Star Trek stuff on there.
Yeah. So that was in there, and then the thing that I was surprised about though was like the Desert Storm booster box.
Nice.
I wasn't sure like what to do with that or what it's gonna become.
Surprise! Future prize.
It's gonna be a Norman Schwarzkopf and George.
I hope there's like, is there gonna be like a Saddam rookie card in there or something? Or
there will be.
There might be. Yeah.
Crack it. You have to crack it and have like some sleeves ready to go for slabbing.
You gotta crack it and find out.
Yeah.
So.
No, I was all excited. I tried to sell it. I'm like, there's a booster box in here. There's a control deck manual. Like,
yeah.
There's a Nintendo
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Control deck manual. I think I jammed there was a playmat.
There's a playmat in there. Yeah, there was like a binder. Yeah, it was funny.
So it was on the season.
Right on. Angelo, what did you pick up?
Oh man, I got the Romancing the Stones decks.
Oh,
I'm building I got my battle box going. So I have Stu's deck from last year, and then I've got Hockey's winning decks from this year, which is the White Initiative and his middle school rock deck.
Nice.
So I'm equipped, man. I'm ready to train with the paper magics.
Nice. Yeah, I snagged a Lego set that Kyle put in. It's like a really nice like birds, and my son right now is really into Legos. He's into Duplos, but that's one we could do together soon enough. So
the Lego set's sweet.
Yeah, it's like really detailed 3 birds on stands. So yeah, we'll do that maybe later this summer. So the prize draft was awesome. I think everyone came away with something that was sweet, and overall, I was really happy with how that wrapped up, basically. So to take us into the end of the night, so we're at, I don't know, it's probably midnight right now, maybe 11 p.m. or so, midnight-ish. What do you say, Angelo? Where are we at?
I think we started. Are you talking about Crackin Boosties?
Yeah. When did we actually start?
We started it at about 11:45.
Oh, was that early? Was it that early?
It was that early, yeah.
Okay, yeah, but it was also but we didn't. I guess I didn't realize how long of a slog it was still going to be if we played double elimination.
Oh man!
So we were playing double elimination, Crackin Boosties format, Max. If you didn't get to observe it, it is old school 93, 94 rules. So that's the 4 horseman sets up and then up to unlimited. We play full proxy still for this, and it is also booster tutor legal, opening ceremony legal, and summon the pack is legal.
All
so booster tutor you're
Yeah.
familiar with. 1 black, open a booster tutor, put it in your hand. Opening ceremony is one of the newer variants. It's red, and 4 sorcery. Open a booster pack, add Wooburg colorless to your mana pool. So it's essentially net mana free if
Yeah,
you
I'm looking at
cast
it right
it.
now. Okay.
And then you can cast as many cards from that pack on your turn, as many as you want. It's a pretty sweet card. And then summon the pack basically just ends the game. It says open a booster pack and put all the creatures into play.
It doesn't end the game, though, because if your opponent plays summon the pack back at you, now you've got a real game. Things went from 0 to 100.
Now you have a game that no one wants to play. Because now you have to read every card on the other side of the table, and then you end up losing to the 17th activated ability of some new creature. Like, you didn't read his 17th ability, so now you do it. You lost.
So do you guys just stuff your decks with these cards? Because it seems funny to do that.
So I did.
Okay.
I played all 12 and a bunch of ramp, and I blew Alan out. I think I opened 8 boosters against Alan. It was absurd. I mean, I stopped cracking set boosters because I was like, I'm going to run out of these. And then Lorien and Josh just sucked all the fun out of it for me because they're playing like Mana Drain and, Mana Leak and stuff like that, just countering my booster spells. I want to open boosters. And then I look at these deck lists, and I'm the only one that went all in. Nobody else went all in.
The format is Crackin Boosties, and you guys aren't. You're the only one that's cracking.
It's not crushing souls or breaking
They
hearts.
should get in the crushing souls format if they like that so much.
Seriously. Well, that's called old school, and they play that already.
So
that was a way sweatier tournament than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was pretty sweaty. I think I ended up either 2-2 or 3-2. I lost to Kyle's Goblins deck. He played Goblins of the Flarg, and my deck was Mana Flare Gauntlets of Might deck. So I had 1 Candelabra in my deck, and I showed up quite a bit, so it was very cool. I got to just fireball people's face. Often I would just play Mana Flare and then untap on my turn and kill them. So that was great. And then what was also great was that I often was able to cast Opening Ceremony very early. After casting out Opening Ceremony, I was able to have a bunch of mana left in order to cast the rest of the spells out of the pack if I wanted to. So yeah, it was really fun. I think that was a really cool way to build my deck. You end up putting a lot of slots into cards that are not Opening Ceremony or Booster Tutors by having to play Fireball or playing Mana Flare. But it gives you some game if you don't open those cards, you don't open cool cards in your deck. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun tournament overall. But the double elimination nature of it meant, you still were playing like 5-6 games before anyone won. And I think Kyle and Lorien were both X1s, I think. So maybe Lorien was XO. So I think Lorien was the champ. He's doing a write-up for that portion of the event. We'll put that in the show notes when it comes out. But I would say, as I told Lorien in my feedback already, Summon the Pack is not fun. And but Opening Ceremony is not so super OP, even though it's mana neutral, because often you can only cast, if you're tapping out to play it, you can cast maybe the 1 bomb spell in the pack. Also, if you're tapping out to play it and you don't have mana open, you can't play the really good double color spells in the pack, so it ends up being pretty medium overall.
That's fair.
So in the end, I recommend Crackin Boosties. I came home from the land, and I also got my Hero Tom proxies It just come in the mail on Saturday, so they didn't come in time. I wanted to put into the prize pool a full Crackin Boosties deck to encourage people to play in the tournament, but I was not able to complete that deck for the prize pool in time. So,
well, I won't be playing Crackin Boosties again until Mind Twist is banned and mana what's it?
Power Sync.
Mana Drain and Counterspell are restricted.
Nah, I'm not
Too
doing
many
that.
haters out there.
If you host that tournament, nah, man, I think Mind Twist is essential to fight against the counterspell decks. You gotta have Mind Twist. That's one of the only ways I beat Lorien is Mind Twisting his hand and then top decking fireballs. So I feel like Mind Twist is essential for old school. It's restricted anyway, but with the counterspells thing, it's just like it's fine. I think again, just build like Kyle's deck with Goblins of the Flarg or something. I don't know.
I'll just run Reb's main then. We'll just do that.
Play Armageddon.
Armageddon. I won't even play booster cards. I'll just play a straight up cutthroat old school deck.
Yeah, do that, dude. Just beat people's face and make them anti-packs before the games. Dude.
Of course.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. So I'm going to go around the horn. I'd like to get your final thoughts on the event. I'm going to start with you, Pat.
I thought it was amazing. At the end, you handed me that sketch, and I was like, is this really happening to me right now? Like, I had totally one of those moments where I'm like, what am I getting right now? And then, yeah, I got the sketch of the Force of Love, and this tournament is so meaningful to all of us Texans. We had such a great time last year when y'all invited us for the first time, and then this year it was just as good or better, even though it wasn't like the virginal experience, if that makes sense. It's just so much different from a normal tournament series, and there's clearly so much love that goes into it and thought about creating an environment you actually want to be in, unlike the majority of Magic tournaments these days, where it's just like, I don't know, kind of heartless, and it's full of like bad beat stories where people are calling over judges and that kind of experience, which I know that everybody has had if they play competitive Magic. So it felt really awesome.
Thank you, Pat. It was a pleasure to have you all back out again, and you are welcome again for the
until
next
I give
one.
the Sapphire back, and then at that point you're like, all right, peace out.
All right, no more Texans now. We got to win it back, and then you're never invited again. Max, what do you got to say to us?
So, Raj, props to you, man. Great run tournament. Always a pleasure going out there. Really nice meeting all the guys from Texas, specifically Pat.
Thanks,
I had
man.
some good conversations. Definitely had a good time with you. And, it's nice to go to an event like that where everyone's just down and chill to hang out, whether that's to, play some games or not, or just to drink some beers or just to hang out. It's more about the brotherhood really than anything else. And that's what I was telling my wife and I was telling my friends. I was like, these guys play cards and stuff, but it's really kind of a brotherhood with everyone. And it's a really cool vibe there. That's the main thing I got out of it.
Oh, thank you, Max. And of course, you're always welcome, buddy. Angelo, take us home.
Reiterate everything they said. It's a special time. You've done a good job of curating an event that is really just people you can just be yourself around. I noticed like this year, a couple of the newcomers were kind of feeling it out for a minute. And then by the end of the night, they were letting it all hang out. But you can just leave your cards on the table and nobody's going to mess with them. Just a lot of trust. It's nice to build the friendships. Like, I feel like the Texas guys rolled up this year and you guys were a lot more open and friendly and a lot easier to talk to because we had the common experience from last year and we stay in touch. For me, it's like adult Christmas because I get to get away and not worry about anything for 2 or 3 days because you don't get cell service out there and play Magic. Like once I've played my last match with Steven McGrew, I can find somebody else to play with when they get tired and walk away or go to the pool or whatever, and there's any kind of Magic you want to play. I can play vintage, I can play middle school, I can play Ante, I could play Crackin Boosties. Like, it's all there. Just draft, there's trivia. And if you don't want to play for a little while and just hang out and chat about, God knows what, it's all happening. So it's just a bunch of like-minded people getting together for a common cause, and it's a beautiful thing, man. It really is.
Thank you for that, Angelo. And this event is also a philanthropy event. I ask all participants to donate some amount to the philanthropy. Everyone is very generous. I've been doing the accounting the last few days, and we are going to be able to donate $1,305 to Second Harvest Food Bank here in Youngstown. So it's really awesome to be able to do that part of the event as well, and to be able to say, hey, thanks guys for being very generous, and it was an awesome time coming together. I felt the love, the force of love was there amongst all the people that were there, and I made some new friends and strengthened some friendships that I had made previously. So the event was a unqualified success in my mind.
Seconded.
We'll go around the horn.
I'm Angelo Cortica.
Max Gibson here.
And this is Patrick.
This is Roger James saying goodbye from Full Warning, a Team Serious podcast. Perfect. I'll edit that all together. Come and rock with Team Serious. Who knows where we're going? It sure ain't us. Hail from the land, Ohio. Real high in the middle and we game for show. Real mean team, always up to a scheme. Laugh with brother, you know what I mean. 1000%, it all adds up. Surrounded by friends, Yangtime in my cup. Now come and rock with the mighty TS. Those Ohio dudes who known to host the best magical private party, smartly hardly one of the least, please. One of the most known on all coasts. TSI the land for, back for more this time. More games, more beats, more rhymes with full warning. Sound the alarming, these guys are 1000% serious. We'll leave you feeling delirious. It's not hard for us to pull your card. We flipping them like that dude flip leopards in RRR. So don't come out too far, no holds are barred. Paint up your face and stick you in the clown car. Surrounded by friends, Yangtime in my cup. Surrounded by friends, Yangtime in my cup. Surrounded by friends, Yangtime in my cup.
Yangtime.
Surrounded by friends, Yangtime in my cup. Buffalo chicken dick,
Buffalo chicken dip.
Chicken dick.
Oh, dang.
You guys stay classy.